Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the EU playoffs. This is the lower bracket finals. We just saw Movistar Riders 3-0ing eUnited, taking it in that last map against them in Nepal. And that was 3-1 on that final map. And now we are seeing, if we look over at the standings, two more games to be played out here. We have the lower bracket finals sideshow as well as the grand finals. And this next one is going to be, again, eUnited versus Team Dignitas. What do you make of this matchup?
All best of five. Last chance saloon for both of these teams to make it to the grand finals and prove that they are potentially the best team in Europe. Dignitas have come through with a fantastic run through the lower bracket so far. It seems almost ridiculous to think that they could make it to the finals, having lost to eUnited 2-0 in the beginning of these playoffs, and that's the reason why they were in the lower bracket. But they have looked like they've solidly improved game after game, and the potential is there for a series here. I've got to say, I still favor eUnited overall. I think their style will match up pretty well against Dignitas, but I'm prepared to be shown something completely new, because yesterday, when you watch Dignitas, and particularly one guy on their roster, Linkser, aka Jiri, Finland's gift to esports Maselin, he has just been fantastic. He was clutching so hard yesterday in all of their games, on Genji, on Roadhog particularly. He was fantastic.
And now moving into Dorado, he's going to have another chance to be Finland's gift to esports here, as we're going to be starting things off. And he's going to be back on the Roadhog, and honestly, we saw him on Genji and Roadhog, but I thought his best performances were actually on the Roadhog. Certainly had some good performances on Genji, and he can't take anything away from his Genji performances yesterday. I mean, definitely set some great things up for Dignitas, but the Roadhog, just the shutdown of some of those really, really impactful players that we saw with him just landing insane hooks, man. I remember I was just losing my mind yesterday at some of the picks he was able to make, but now, of course, going up against eUnited, it's gonna be pretty tough. I mean, certainly a matchup against NIP and Misfits mean, a lot that they were able to take that one, and he was able to shut those guys down. But I have to agree. I think eUnited and Movistar Riders, with their style, is just about like a half level ahead, and it's going to be very, very difficult here for Dignitas to be able to win this one out, I think, given the fact that, again, just that aggression from eUnited is so strong, and Linkster won't have as much space to work with here.
I think he has to come up absolutely clutch. When you consider how these two styles are going to match up, and Dignitas way more prevalent with the tanks on the defense, and eUnited love to play into that, the teams that eUnited tends to struggle against, particularly NIP, where they got blasted, Himsy was on fire in that game, and you've got a lot of 200 HP targets on the side of eUnited when they play the triple DPS dive comp, so huge potential for Linkser to go ham and just start picking up frags all over the place and carrying his team, because he can essentially one-shot anybody, and if he gets a hook on Sharik, he's essentially won the fight as well. So I'll be looking to him to make this, but eUnited, if they start the ball rolling, this could not end until the end of the map.
And now Bromus actually on the McCree, and we've seen this before a little bit. Obviously his ability to deal with flyers and everything like that is very solid, but going up against a matchup like this where you're going to be on the dive and you don't have that mobility skill to, get away or try to find distance for yourself, and no self-healing as well, I mean, you're really just forced to use the flashbang to peel. I mean, what do you make of this particular play? Actually, as things open up, going to have to steal it away, and Unfixed jumping in as well. Bromus already finding 2 kills, so I was asking your opinion of it before, but man, did he come alive already with 3 of his own. And that's going to be Dignitas pushing things back, so now I'll give you an even better opportunity. What do you make of this McCree here?
It's a bit of a loaded question now, isn't it? I have to say that it's a good idea because it worked, but theoretically it definitely is, because he can shut down with his flashbang, Valutage, and Cruise when they come in, can do a lot of damage over to Sharik, and he's got the potential to pick off Unfixed in the sky. In some senses, even better than a Soldier 76 can if he's within reasonable range of it. But he has to be hitting his shots, and he has to get those key clutches whenever they dive, otherwise he's not as useful overall.
So yesterday we definitely saw Linkser actually performing quite well, and he was definitely a big reason why Dignitas were able to make that run. But Bromus actually was just as, impactful in my opinion. But now we are going to be seeing him reduced to the graveyard as he's waiting for that respawn, and eUnited pushing things forward. 2:30 on the clock at the moment, and they should be able to push this without any contention here, and that will be locked in, that first point here. Unfixed with the barrage ready. Just already contesting that high ground, shoving these guys back into that stairwell, and they're looking to just try to take this barrier down as much as possible to have a little bit of an advantage so that Shark can kind of come alive there.
Bromas immediately switches over to the Soldier 76 as soon as they're in the second portion. He's got the balcony to work from, height advantage, much closer to Unfixed as well, and has the shield to play behind, so potential for him to put a lot of work in on Soldier 76 here. It's going to be a bit of a difficult one to crack. A Concussion Blast knocking Watt 7 or Toxicant off the top is definitely their sign to go, as Unfixed looks to see what he can get done up there, but Speed Boost, and they're going to commit down to the cart here, Dignitas.
And again, we do see that barrage at the ready. It actually comes out. Not going to find anything initially, but eventually does find Toxicant, and that gave them just enough room to work with here to find those kills on the floor. But still, it's Dignitas on the floor taking these guys out, and a lot of control again due to what 7 and Lynx are there. Jumping up and Evoke all over this point, giving nice support out to Linkser, trying to get him healed up, and that's going to support him just enough. Oh, he's actually going to be taken down, Unfixed, with a little bit of an advantage here with the positioning, just jumping forward. Should be able to shut down this Soldier 76 as well with Valataja coming forward. Shark going to be able to give that spacing, and he's still getting healed. Bromas, look at the support coming out from Dignitas there to support Bromas and keep him alive there.
They've got a great composition to do it. This triple tank offers you a lot of utility with Toxic and Zarya and the hooks to be able to support Bromas. But they've had this high ground rubbed away from them. Look at how sneaky Linkser is, though. Oh, almost gets the hook on the Valataja, but he blinks out of it, or recalls rather. And Lynx is going to have to take the long, slow walk back to try and help the rest of his team as this payload continues to progress.
Cruz jumping in, does get Vita grenaded there, so not going to be able to get healed, and actually going to have a very lessened impact as he gets taken out. And Vaneless actually coming through with that kill himself and shutting him down initially, forcing him to go into that deflect. And then on top of that, I mean, that's just a nice setup there by Dignitas to utilize Toxicant's Graviton Surge to close that fight out. They didn't take too many kills, but they were able to clean that pretty effectively.
They did have to use a sound barrier, though, from Evoke, and Morte and Rubicon both have their support ultimates up. Is probably going to be enough, I think, to be able to take this through as they get the sound barrier. Tactical Visor used as well, but how much value are you really going to get from that? I don't think very much, as the Transcendence also popped here. Everybody on eUnited still pretty healthy. Sharik falls, though, and he's the first real casualty, as Watt 7's been kept alive very well by Toxicant so far.
Toxicant actually going to get boosted up, and they're looking to try to take out Unfixed. You did have that Tactical Visor going up, and a nice hook coming out there from Linkser as he shuts down Valataja. And man, he has not had a great day so far, as these teams have been all over him trying to shut him down. And Cruz, last one alive here as he pulls away and actually does make it out with his life at the moment.
Here's the thing, when you're playing into a 2-2-2 composition or a triple tank that doesn't have a Zarya on it, sure, focus the Reinhardt, you're going to get a huge amount of value down if you take him out, but they're finding it difficult because not only has he got all of, I mean, the shields in front and the high health pool, but Toxicant's providing a lot of help for him as well with those projected barriers, so perhaps a dive onto Toxicant is more worthwhile here. They don't really have the Biotic Grenade to be able to get onto Linkser a lot of the time, so a dive onto Toxicant might be the highest value target that they can pick to begin a team fight rolling.
Now he's at 80%, so I mean, that Graviton obviously going to be pretty big here if he's able to get that one up. And 2 fights ago, we saw them utilize it pretty effectively as they were able to shut down Cruz with that Dragon Blade, and it's looking like it's going to be a repeat of that particular situation if they can actually make that one work. And now we do see Toxicant again just sitting out those right clicks and just trying to bomb his way back up to 100% to try to get that valuable ult to be able to shut down Cruz. And look how long eUnited is taking to actually engage this one. Cruz looking for an opportunity, should be dashing up pretty soon and pulling out that Dragon Blade. That is going to happen. 15 HP for him, and he's looking for an opportunity to try to close that one out, but that's not going to be the case as Evoke actually finds that kill, and he pulled that out just so late at with 15 HP, and now Linkser going through is going to be taken out by Rubicon. And with that Transcendence, they might be able to hold on to this. Toxicant does get nano boosted up, and it is going to be the Pulse Bomb coming out. Not going to find a kill as he's coming back, and actually Vaneless in the face of Rubicon trying to eliminate him, and he gets taken out himself. Toxicant coming through. Nice kill from him, but Bromas needs to be contested here, and it's going to have to be by Cruz. And that's going to actually be the kill with Unfixed coming through, and Linkser missing a hook. Uncharacteristic of Linkser there onto a Winston. And now that spacing control again by the Winston as he pushes through, and that's going to be some excellent support coming out onto Shark as he gets pulled in, actually pushes these guys back, and they're very close. If he can just keep pushing them back, they find another kill. And again, Vaneless now contested as well as he's jumping onto the point, has a grenade out, and that's not going to be enough. And we do see that final kill, Cruz taking out Bromas as they're finally able to push themselves back into this last stage of the map, and not a lot of time to work with here.
overcommitment, though, I think, from Bromas of the tactical visor there, because they're realistically not going to be able to get it there. What is Bromas hoping for? A 5k with the tactical visor and just wipe them all and be able to take it 1v5? It's incredibly unlikely. So you essentially throw it in away and allowing eUnited just an extra tool, or rather a lack of a tool for Dignitas, to be able to stop this snowball continuing to roll. So they've got their ultimates up on the board as well. eUnited have got both of their DPS ultimates. If they can manage to get a Dragon Blade or a Tactical Visor in a good position, they could potentially start something happening. Cruises up top, Dragon Blade in, dashes through quite a number of people, but instantly focused down. They've been so good at controlling him. Every time he's in position, they focus him down, and Dignitas have just been all over his Genji.
I actually really liked the positioning to start that fight off, but Dignitas was with an effective way of just pushing back and sticking together, and they were able to find those kills. But Valetaja actually coming through, finding two of his own. Pulse Bomb at the ready. Is he going to try to make this play or back off? Looks like that option that he goes for is going to be backing off. But again, I did really like the positioning there. They had guys behind, and now, you know, with that, they could have been able to really kind of reduce those guys to nothing in the back line, but they just weren't able to execute on the front line there, given the fact that they didn't have the numbers, and it was just Dignitas folding on them. Valetaja not able to find those kills quickly enough. Pulse Bomb again at the ready, finds the stick, and he does actually take him down pretty low, but due to the fact that the sound barrier came out, not able to find that kill. What7 pulling back, barrier is low at the moment. He goes for the Earth Shatter because of that. Broma's pulling out the Nano Boost on the Tac Visor as well, and that's going to be easy cleanup as things go into overtime, and that's going to be ticking out. Dignitas make the hold here.
What a clutch Earth Shatter at the end. What7. You gotta say as well that What7's been doing excellently to be able to stay alive. He knows what support's coming from the rest of his team, and he's not being caught out of position, not playing too aggressively. Overall, it's a very cohesive system coming out in the tanks. Again, the coordination that I honestly wasn't expecting. I should have learnt by now not to underestimate Dignitas after all of their wins that they piled together yesterday, but I continue to be surprised at the level of execution, because I was taking their play in the groups as like a base level for them, and it seems like they've just stepped up immensely since then.
Now, on the defensive side, Unfixed coming out with the Pharaoh once again, whereas the dive coming out from Dignitas here links her with an opportunity to bring out that Genji. Again, stellar performances yesterday with that, and certainly continued on with the Roadhog as well, but we'll have to see if he pulls that one out. At the moment, he's sitting on a Widow, but I do imagine it's going to be a Genji at the end of the day here, but otherwise, it'll be Unfixed on the Pharaoh, and again, the reason why he's on that is, of course, because of that last DPS slot that they want to pull out, and that's going to be Cruz on the Genji. So if they want to swap things up, they want to swap that to a Soldier, and that's, of course, why Unfixed is on that particular character at the moment. So a lot of flexibility there in terms of the Pharaoh play, and I think that certainly does help eUnited a little bit, but they have to do a lot here to prevent Dignitas from running the map, and it's going to be pretty rough for them, I think.
See what they bring to the table here. In terms of where they manage to push the payload, it's pretty standard for Dorado. It's a difficult map to complete, but it's kind of reasonable to get it around that level of the map where you're just about to get to the final stretch. But there's so many variables in how this is going to match up. For the moment, Dignitas on both of these snipers, but I have to imagine that one particularly lasts. Maybe Lynxer wants to get a couple of early picks though, just see if he can get it, and then he's going to back off once the defenders back off themselves, and Lynxer's just going to go back to spawn and switch over. So triple DPS coming out again here for Dignitas, or rather for the first time that we've seen it in this match, but we know that it's a staple for them.
eUnited definitely doesn't like to get forward on that spawn and try to fight early, so I think that's smart for them to try to look for an opening pick, because they know that they're not going to be punished for it, and they know that they're not going to be fighting soon. So I definitely like that from Dignitas to be able to try to take advantage of that. They just didn't get anything off of it, so, you know, didn't really lose out on anything, so not really that much of a worry at all. Nonetheless, though, we'll see Unfixed pushing forward here and already laying into What7 a little bit and pushing him off of that point. Actually, some really strong damage. I expect Cruz to kind of jump in there, but they're forced back a little bit, and it is going to be that first kill coming out onto What7. So again, a lot of control here for the side of eUnited, pushing forward as they find another, and that's going to be, again, an easy cleanup here. First defense solid for eUnited.
They've bossed it, and Unfix is doing a huge amount of damage. Does go down in the end, but was fairly uncontested for the majority of that team fight, and he put a huge amount of damage into What7, just plowing into his back as he poked his head out of the Winston bubble for a moment. And there aren't really that many offensive ultimates up here, and Rubicon's already charged a nano boost, so potential for them to carry this one going and put up a good defense on the fountain for now. But Toxic can switch over to Pharah as well, so gonna tie Unfixed up.
So they're not going to have that really strong ability to take him out in the sky. And actually, Rubicon almost taken out, does get taken out there by Linkster, and we're going to have a little bit of a Pharah duel here. Unfixed taken down pretty low, but he does land both of those shots, and he's going to be able to come out on top. Now getting pretty close to that barrage, might be able to pull it out, but Linkster going to be able to find that kill, and he's the only one on the point right now. Shark with that Winston should be able to kill them off, and that will be, again, another hold for eUnited, but very, very close. As we did see Unfixed almost taken out, but he was able to land both of those body shots and come back into that one.
And now 4 ultimates on the board as well. They've got the sound barrier if things start to go south. Evoke's still miles away from generating. It won't be happening on this push. They might think that they have more ultimates up than they do, though, on the side of Dignitas. So potential here to bait out a couple of extra ultimates that might not need putting in there from eUnited if they can really take it to them. And Toxican's moved over to the 2-2-2 with the D.Va, which is a great counter composition. Cruz is ripping them to pieces at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely like the composition swap, but the problem is that United just had so much already. I mean, they're just able to carry the momentum just straight through the ultimate economy that they've been able to produce here, and now still they're holding on to that barrage. And granted, I mean, Unfixed is going to be very vulnerable when he does pull that one out, as he doesn't have a Zarya shield or Morte to put out the sound barrier either, and Rubicon nowhere close to a nano boost if they even want to use that, which typically you don't see that happening. So now they're going to be going up against Linkster's Dragon Blade, and they're going to have to shut him down quickly, and they do have him down pretty low, but he's got a lot of heals to work with. But overall, not starting with anything early. I mean, he's not swiped anyone yet. Finally gets one onto Rubicon and should be able to find this kill, unless we do see them coming over, but it is going to be Toxican actually helping him out. Evoke pretty low himself, might actually be able to kill off Valutaja, but he gets the recall, and now resetting, does find that kill himself, all over What7 as he's pulling back, but What7 able to come through, find that kill, Unfixed, over the top, getting that health pack as well. Needs to get back onto the point if they want to be able to contest this. Not a lot of time left, and he's going to be jumping on. Barrage at the ready. Certainly they're looking up in the skies, and the D.Va is on the point to prevent some of that damage, but he's going up. Already used a lot of that defense matrix, so a great opportunity here for Unfixed if he can get into the back and try to shut down this Ana, and does actually take the kill onto Veinless.
Oh, they picked up a kill onto Veinless. Toxican's out of his mech as well. And What7 forced to use the Primal Rage just to keep things alive, but a nano boost used on the opposing Winston as well, as Sharik is going to be able to put damage out onto all of these players. Really close, confined area, all playing around the cart. Unfixed, still unchallenged in the air, pounding these rockets into everybody, smacking them in the head with projectile after projectile. And wow, that is a dominant display on the defense to begin for eUnited.
Very, very dominant indeed. Definitely looking a lot stronger than the last matchup. So obviously you can see the difference between these, the way that these two teams operate. Obviously Dignitas is a very strong team. It's just, I think the major factor is just the way in which Dignitas and eUnited play that you're seeing here being such a big difference. And the next map that we're going to be seeing, Dignitas already saying that they want to pull out King's Row, and that's going to be on the attack. And honestly, yesterday, a lot of what they did to be able to get to this point was off of King's Row. I mean, they had stellar performances on that map. Again, that's a map that we would have liked to have seen pulled out from eUnited, actually. But Dignitas certainly looked good on it. And now the question is, which is the better team?
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, you've just seen eUnited fall in the upper bracket to on very specific maps, and they've shown all of their cards on those maps. If you've been watching them, which I assume they have, then you take it to a map that's not only eUnited's, it's the one that eUnited have the best win record on, but it's also a map that they've looked phenomenal on. I'm not sure I understand the thinking here, other than I think we could wreck them on King's Row. I think that might just be the predominant thought in Dignitas's head. I think perhaps they would have been better off going more towards something like a Nepal or a Lijiang, where we've seen eUnited definitely have exploitable weaknesses.
The problem is, though, is that on Lijiang, I mean, it's I definitely see your point, and it kind of goes for Misfits as well. Is that you know, on some of those maps they have exploitable weaknesses, but I think on any map still I would kind of give a little bit of favor to eUnited. Not very much, but just a little bit. I still think that these teams are incredibly close, but I think the fact that eUnited with that triple DPS composition, they just look so like tight with their execution, and because of that reason, I think it's going to be tough for Dignitas to actually deal with that. Yesterday, they were playing a lot of teams that, you know, were a little bit more forgiving in terms of the spacing that they provide Dignitas, and because of that, they were able to really kind of come through. Obviously, Linkser and Bromas really stepping their games up, as well as What7 definitely doing a good job to provide that space for those two guys. But you know, I think eUnited, as we've talked about, is just on a little bit higher of a caliber there, and I think going into King's Row, we should see eUnited take this. But again, close games, I think it's going to be throughout. It was actually pretty surprising to me to see Dorado go so much in favor of eUnited. I definitely wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see the rest of this best of 5. Honestly, it's been an insane tournament, and we've still got some amazing games left. What do you think? What do you think about the matchup in terms of the offense of United here? Because it's looked so good in so many situations when they were playing against. See, the parallel that I'm drawing here is that I feel about this game a little bit in the same way that I feel about eUnited against Misfits, in the sense that Dignitas play a little bit more of the style of Misfits, especially with Bromas like favoring the McCree in certain situations as well. There are definitely parallels that you can draw over there, and eUnited in general just. Well, they took the win over Misfits, but they were also incredibly powerful on the attack and defense actually. So I don't know. eUnited, they look so good.
I think the thing that's scary about eUnited is, again, just that three-pronged attack. It's Valtaja as well as Cruz and certainly Shark to start things off. I mean, their ability to just execute very, very efficiently with that dive is scary. And I think that's a big problem for Dignitas, because if they're not able to protect guys like Vainless or certainly even Evoke to an extent as well, then it's going to become a huge issue. But I think primarily it's going to be, you know, kind of up to dealing with Toxican and Vainless, if Toxican is actually on the Soldier here, because they might sit back a little bit. We saw Toxican kind of on the point sometimes a lot as well, so maybe he's just going to try to stay away. But we'll have to see now, as we're going to be seeing Dignitas actually up first, and certainly thinking that we're going to be seeing the triple tank composition that we saw at the last time, which is going to be more than likely Linkser actually on the Hanzo, but maybe they might switch things up and Toxican at the moment actually on the Hanzo himself. But that was a composition that worked very well for them, so I imagine they're going to be pulling that one out again. I don't know how eUnited is going to be able to deal with that, but they have a 2-2-2 with both of their DPS being those flankers. Of course, Cruz and Valataja, again, very, very strong on that duo. Genji and Tracer respectively, and Unfixed now on the Zarya at the moment. Wondering if we're going to be seeing that that same Hanzo comp coming out with Bromas actually on the Zarya. It does tend to... I mean, it definitely seems that way with him on the Zarya.
I like it. It definitely works. You've got great sight lines for the Hanzo around here. You can get good scatter arrows off as well. It works into a variety of compositions just because Hanzo puts out a huge amount of damage if you're able to actually hit your shots with it. And it's this first point, I think, is a little bit of the appetizer, but when it really gets into the streets phase, that's where the meat of this battle happens, I think.
Okay, so they're going to switch things up a bit, and they're going actually with Toxican on the Pharah. So otherwise, I mean, it is going to be that same combination as Evoke will go over to the Lucio here. And now Toxican, again, it is that same combination. It's just swapping the Dragon Strike, swapping the Hanzo for that Pharah alongside the Barrage. And again, I talked yesterday about how there's a big difference between the Dragon Strike and the Barrage, as Barrage is certainly a lot more vulnerable. As Dragon Strike, you just throw it out and you're not sitting above the enemy team. But nonetheless, a nice hook out there from Linkser to start things off, as Shark actually getting pressured pretty low. But look at the healing on this guy, as they've been able to keep him alive, and that might not be the case for much longer, as What7 comes back through. Shark actually going to be trying to get aggressive on him, and they're just battling each other out with these hammers, and we do see the Fire Strike coming out from Shark, but he might be able to pull this one out. Again, great healing from Rubicon there, who was able to save the day, but he did get eventually taken out by Evoke. before Toxican taken out, and that was going to signal the retreat there on the side of Dignitas.
To draw your attention to as well, if you haven't seen games that have been played on the newest patch, is that if you look at the top of the screen, 25.1% of this first capture. So in the event of what would otherwise be draws, that is the metric used. Whoa, Bromas pinned against the wall by Sharik's nano-boosted Reinhardt. He gets knocked down to the floor by What7, but dies in return, and this is all eUnited on this first push. On this defense, rather, sorry.
They have a couple of ults to work with now, as they were just able to deal with What7 and his Earth Shatter. So now Shark with a little bit of an advantage in the front line. As long as they can maintain that barrier pressure, then they're going to be in a great position to take advantage of that Earth Shatter going into this next one. Valataja going to be more than likely using that Pulse Bomb to try to create an advantage, or at least turning the shield a bit if he can. And he's just in the backline again, just giving something else. But Unfixed going through with that Graviton, and they're going to be able to find those kills without committing anything else here. Valataja did wind up dropping his Pulse Bomb, and they do wipe that up pretty cleanly. And now less than 2 minutes here, Sideshow, for Dignitas to pull through and make this attack theirs.
It's pretty interesting that we haven't seen the dive composition come out of them at all. They've tried to just make the tank v tank work, and the ult economy coming out of eUnited has been fantastic. They know what they want, which ults they want to use in each fight, and they are aggressive and use them before Dignitas are in a position to think about their setup and be able to react. So far it's been excellent, but look at that nano boosted fire up top with the barrage. Zarya bubble on him as well to make sure that Toxican stays alive, picking up kills all over the place, and Rubicon falls before he gets his ultimate up. Unfixed, the last to die, but the last one on the point as well. And this first point definitely going to fall into the hands of Dignitas to start them up. It took them a while, but they're there now, Hurix.
I mean, who needs a dive comp when you have a Pharah nano boosted doing it by himself? But nonetheless, he's just going to pull forward, and not only is he going to make everybody look up at him and allow for his tanks to go through and just basically walk into the defense of eUnited, but also he's going to be able to find a lot of damage with that nano boost as well and keep himself safe with that damage reduction. And now they're pulling through the archway here, and Toxican getting very aggressive, looking inside that Graviton for some kills, and only finds Rubicon there initially, but Bromas with 2 there, 1 onto Cruz as well. They should definitely be able to push it onto Unfixed, find that last kill, and they do indeed, and that's going to be the payload moving through the archway. They just have to deal here with Shark, and they do indeed. 3 minutes on the clock remaining.
Valataja is still just delaying so much time, actually. It was an extra 10 seconds or something that he individually managed to take away from the team. But in terms of the overall scope of the defense, they've got a decent chance of holding here multiple times in the Streets phase. It's not an aggressive attack in terms of pushing up and denying position from Dignitas, nor do they have the ultimates other than the Earth Shatter to work with. So definite potential for eUnited to take back control and whittle more time off the clock.
Rubicon looking for someone to use that nano boost on, and Valataja trying to get another pick yet again here, and Unfix coming through with that Graviton pretty soon, and they just have to combat Toxican on that barrage for the most part. But What7 coming through with an Earth Shatter, going to be shut down there. Barrage coming out from Toxican, actually gets the shield, but only able to find Rubicon there, so not going to be able to do too much, as we did see Rubicon actually pulling out the nano boost onto Unfix so that he can charge up that Graviton Surge, and they do indeed get that charge. Now we do see Linkser actually does land the hook onto Cruz, but not able to find the kill. Graviton charged up here again for Unfixed. Certainly going to be seeing him pull that one out in the next fight, as honestly on the attacking side here, we don't see Dignitas with very many options at all.
No, not at all. They're going to have their nano boost up at some point, but then who do you really use that on to get the most value out of it? Maybe sync it with Linkser and the Whole Hog at some point and see if he can just put out some raw damage as well. But way more tools on the side. Unfixed jumping in, speed boost, immediately gets this Graviton. What7's got a lot of shields over him, but gets pinned to the backline. They've already found 2 as well. Bromas, Veinless, both fall. Weak players on the side of Dignitas. What7 goes for the charge in, but meets a load of bullets to the face. Takes headbutts a bullet with his forehead and dies. But that's going to be another reset, and they knew they were going to lose that fight, but a minute left, Urix. What have they got to work with here?
It comes down basically just to that same combo we talked about before. They weren't able to do anything because, you know, they just got the Graviton dropped on them and they didn't really get much out of it. But now with that Nano Boost and Whole Hog available, certainly you're looking to see maybe even a boost onto Broma so you can try to generate that Graviton maybe. I mean, that might be an option for them, but I mean, he's not really that close. I mean, he actually does come out. Linkster coming through with the Whole Hog and actually Bromas going through himself, and I think it was, what 7 actually maybe boosted up, but they do actually push through nonetheless. Despite the fact that Cruz did have that Dragon Blade, he was taken out so quickly. And I don't think that we're going to be seeing eUnited with an option to contest this, so it should be Dignitas with barely any time left at all, able to push through the second objective and now into the factory phase of the map here on King's Row.
And now they have a lot of ultimates to work with. They managed to clutch that just using the nano boost onto Toxican, so he doesn't have to use any ultimate to be able to sync it with. And then Linkser uses his whole hog to push them into position so that Toxican can do all of that damage. They win the team fight off the back of it. And now with 1 minute and 25, the time is short, yes, but they have a lot of ults to work with. Here comes a Nano Blade though, into the back lines, seeing what Cruz can get done, but he's slept as soon as the Zarya bubble comes off him. Still gets the pick on a Veinless in the end though, as both teams are losing a couple of players either side. Those ultimates haven't quite been dedicated yet though for Dignitas, and there's still 1 minute on the board, so they will have the opportunity to come back into this one. And it's 1 minute left, and they have to still push the payload pretty far, but they can start something going here.
Definitely looking for Bromas to try to get a lot more energy when he drops this Graviton, because he's going to potentially have to deal with Morte coming through with that sound barrier, so they want a lot more firepower going into this. He does actually manage to get a nice self barrier, looking for that. He does actually drop it down, gets Shark inside of it, and it's actually Toxican up top with the barrage that finds the kills. Evoke coming through onto Unfixed as well. Rubicon just forced forward. They're just going to try to contest this for as long as possible, and it's Velutaja actually finding a kill on Veinless. So once they actually come out of the spawn, they're going to be waiting on Velutaja a little bit, but they might be able to take an advantage with Veinless not even being there, and with him having that nano boost ready. If they get aggressive here, they might be able to take this fight.
So much discipline as well. They've still got loads of ults to work with. They only used Bromas and Toxicans. What 7 if he lines up a decent Earth Shatter, doesn't get baited out by Shark. The Reinhardt mind games. What 7 moving forward. Sound barrier used on the opposing team, now on him. Seeing if he can get it out, he uses it, but Shark replies on the other side as well. Players down for Dignitas here. Evokes the first to fall, healing and speed boost taken out of the situation. There's the Graviton. Can they find the fix? They're managing to get a couple, but Linkser and Bromas still alive, holding on here. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. This might be a clutch, but there's only Unfixed left alive actually. Hooked out of the way. He's the only player left, but Zarya bubble onto himself. Oh, he's not going to be able to get it there. Can't wait for the spawners. What an incredibly clutch play at the end.
Really, really good stuff. I mean, Linkser almost shut that down himself, trying to get another one of those just replace hooks where you just, you're over here, let me take you over here, buddy, and drop you into a hole. But that didn't actually work out, didn't have the right spacing next to that drop-off point. But in overtime, we do indeed see Dignitas able to make that push, and now eUnited with an opportunity here. I mean, if they finish out with more than a minute, they'll have the ability to just close it out themselves. And again, that's just going to be one of those same situations that we saw last night where Dignitas actually had a little bit of time to work with, and they won it off of it just being 0.1% or 0.01% in their favor. As soon as anybody jumps off the point, it's your game and you win. So obviously eUnited want to put themselves in a position where they can make that happen, because it's certainly very easy to take the map once you get into that. But now, starting things off here, we're going to be seeing Unfixed actually again onto that Pharah. Did pretty well actually on Dorado, I would say, and certainly Cruz very, very committed to the Genji on this map. A lot of, I mean, historically, a lot of the success that they've had for King's Row has been, again, down to those 3 players you see there, Shark, Velutaja, and Cruz, coming together and just being aggressive together. So Unfixed there to kind of support things. We've seen him on Pharah. We've seen him as well on the Soldier, just doing great things for the team. So he's just basically there to kind of fill in whatever DPS they think will work the best against the roster they're going up against. And certainly with Bromas going over to the Soldier, they might have an opportunity to contest this, but we'll have to see as things open up.
We saw a lot of tanky play in the previous round when Dignitas were on offense, but eUnited have definitely looked best when they're running this triple DPS, and I'm impressed with how well Dignitas actually did, but as you said, it was in overtime, so if they're able to cap with time left on the board and deny Dignitas a chance at going again, in a huge position to take this map. So see if they can get a good engage going. If they can get an early pick onto somebody before the ultimates come online for the powerful tanks on Dignitas, they're in a great position.
And of course, Unfixed kind of in charge of that. As he just lands rockets, he's at the best possible ability to try to, you know, put in some of that initial damage. And once he gets someone low, they will just be diving in on top of that. But with Morte taken out, they're actually going to dive in anyways, trying to get some of their ult charge up, I have to assume, and just jumping in to see what they can make of this. But Bromas has been contesting Unfixed pretty well, and he actually takes Bromas down quite a bit, and again, just landing so much damage. He's going to have that barrage pretty soon here as he's at 65, dropping that barrier, so they're forced back to the archway, might actually be forced back into the lobby there as well, as Rubicon finds a kill, and look how close he is to Transcendence. They have so much damage as they're just slow pushing in. Toxican going to be eliminated, and that's going to be the rest of Dignitas folding here under the pressure of eUnited's, very lethal composition.
To be fair to Vainless, he did an amazing job at keeping all of his team alive, but you saw in terms of the ultimates being charged there, that there was a huge amount of damage just being poured out onto the Dignitas players, because Vainless was the only player to charge his ult, so clearly Dignitas are not putting out a huge amount of damage, and everybody on the board almost, certainly the 3 DPS players plus Rubicon, have been putting out a lot of damage. So we've gone into a pause. Somebody's getting packet loss, it seems, unfixed on the side of the United players, but they've taken that first point with style, with panache, and now they can continue moving forward.
They will have a decent amount of time to work with, and again, it's very important here for eUnited to try to close out with over a minute, as we talked about, because they will have that opportunity to take advantage of that new scoring system where you only have to get 0.01% or 0.1% or whatever it is to be able to secure the map. So if at any point they push those guys off the point, they're going to be able to pull out a win.
Yeah, it's just game over.
And the problem is that if you're on the defensive side, you're at a severe disadvantage because you always have to have someone on the point. You can't back off and re-engage. And against a dive style composition, that's typically what you want to do. You want to pull back, you want to play slow, find the picks, and then re-engage when you have an advantage. Typically, that's going to be relied upon by someone like Linkser on a Roadhog, where you pull back, you find the kill onto a guy like Shark as he dives in. Easy insta-give with the hook if you can just land a quick shot, hook, quick shot again. But, they don't have the opportunity. Someone has to stay on the point, and really, if eUnited's able to finish this map out, then with time to spare over a minute, then they're going to be in a great position to just take advantage of the fact that they can get high ground and nobody can really contest them, because again, if they're on the point for even a fraction of a second without anybody from Dignitas there, they will win out. It's exactly the same way we saw Dignitas actually get into the situation here where they're able to take on eUnited, where they took out, I believe it was NIP yesterday.
It was Misfits yesterday.
Oh, Misfits, right, Misfits, yeah. yes.
And they're incredibly punishing rules on hybrid. It's great in that it takes away the potential for a draw, and then you have to go over to, it would be Oasis if we get a draw. So draws are far less likely, which I think is a great thing for the game. But you can't overstate the fact that these are incredibly punishing rules for the team that is at that kind of disadvantage, because you have to give up so much position. So it's crucial here that if Dignitas hold on and they feel like they're losing, they at least get them below 1 minute, and they've got 5 minutes now to work with just to start with. So a lot of work still to be done here for Dignitas as we go live back into the game. And
Cruz actually already able to kill off Evoke, and that's going to back Dignitas off. So they're going to be able to get that point at least through the archway, as I believe it is going to be Morte back there on the point, just solo riding it up. And they're going to be falling back to go ahead and get 3 on the point and push this objective a little bit further so they can try to make the most of it. That space that they just actually gained with Cruz finding that kill. And they do have a lot of options actually for ultimates, but certainly Dignitas coming through with some of their own. Broma's going to be trying to contest, of course, that Dragon Blade that will likely come out from Cruz, but then has to deal with the barrage right after that. So we'll have to see how eUnited wants to use these ultimates if things are opened up. We already see Rubicon pulling out the Transcendence, Cruz coming out with the Dragon Blade himself, looking for Bromas, does find that kill as Barrage comes out as well, and eUnited are pulling out literally everything that they can to be able to win this fight, and still Lynx are able to find a kill. Shark comes through though, and that's going to be 2 of those tanks finished off, and that will just be a quick mop up before they're able to move this objective one more time. But the question is now that eUnited used basically all of their options, and really they only have their sustaining ults on Shark and Morte, they're going to have, one of the more important fights actually right next to the second objective before they're able to actually push this through. They might actually have kind of mess
I'm
themselves
not
up
sure they're
a
going to
little bit.
get to it, Hurex.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
What 7's trying to get there. They might just be able to block it before they get to the checkpoint. Or did they? Yeah, it's 0.27 meters away, but gets the Earth Shatter as well. What 7 uses it. They didn't find that many players. A very mobile comp that they're playing into, but they're finding the picks anyway. Both of the supports are down. Morte didn't quite have his sound barrier to be able to use it in that fight. And Sharik used his Primal Rage. Slight lack of coordination between eUnited. Maybe a bit of miscommunication, or Morte thought he would just have it and then got picked too early. But that's Dignitas. That's a clutch defense, actually.
Now they have... Now they will be able to probably push this one through, as it is going to be... I mean, as long as they can take out Evoke pretty early, I think they're going to be in a pretty good position, and then they just have to kind of focus their attention towards Bromas, who's in a position right now to try to take out his tactical visor, and that's basically the main purpose of him sitting up here on this high ground. Vainless going to be able to hold him down a little bit as well, give him some support if Cruz does get aggressive. And the Dragon Blade comes out. He's looking for that kill. Vainless going to be eliminated here, as well as Bromas, and they find exactly the kills that they need to find, with Evoke dying off third. Not exactly in the order as I stated, but certainly the kills that they wanted in very quick succession, and that's going to be that second point. eUnited pushing through with a lot of time to work with. Again, they want to hit over a minute here, and if they do, that might actually pretty much secure it for eUnited.
Yeah, we've got to look at what they've got to work with here. Bromas has switched over to the McCree as well. Big hook coming in from Linksa. That's going to put a little bit of a stop to it, because Rubicon's ultimate was the thing they had in the bag, the ace in the hole for eUnited as they were going to move forward. So now they've had to give up the bend, which is unfortunate for them that they lost such a pivotal player so early. Linksa again clutching it for his team. They've got to hold on. Really, there are 3.5 minutes on the board, but they've really got to hold on for at least another 2.5, unless otherwise they're in dire straits. But got that Transcendence and that Tactical Visor, so now it's all about getting in a good enough position to be able to get value out of it despite what 7's shield.
So I'm definitely looking at Linkser here to try to make a play. Velotage already taking out Bromas on the McCree though, and Linkser swinging around trying to deal with the Genji, and Cruz actually going to be coming back alive here as he's looking for something. Velotage able to save Sharik there, as Sharik does get hooked out, but nonetheless that is actually going to be what 7 taken. And it will be eUnited once again moving forward. They still have pretty much, 2 more fights or so that they have to win out. And with 3 minutes on the board, just under that actually, might see Dignitas able to come through and make a play. They have a lot of options going into this next fight. And the question is going to be if they're able to utilize these effectively, where they're not, exposing too much. Toxic going to drop that Graviton Surge. Linkster pulling out the whole hog. That's going to be eliminating Shark with ease, as Unfixed in the back going to be jumping off, and that's going to be only 2 ults utilized for Dignitas to actually take that fight. And now with just over 2 minutes, Dignitas definitely poised to try to take another. It's going to be basically battling against Cruz here, and Unfixed actually swapping over to the Zarya despite the fact that he had the Tactical Visor ready to go.
And they've put Sharik over on the Reinhardt as well. I was wondering why he popped off that Primal Rage into the whole hog, because he was just absolutely shredded, but he was making the move over to that more solid anchor tank, as they call it, for the team. So now they can start to push forward. Cruz and Valutage in the backline. Valutage has been slept, actually. Cruz with the Dragon Blade, but he's been Biotic Grenaded, so debuff not going to be able to get healing for him, and both of the flankers and damage dealers have gone down here for eUnited. 1.5 minutes left. Dignitas for the moment holding strong.
And it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing them capture it with a minute or over a minute to spare. So best case scenario, we see them coming through with overtime, ticking up with a minute for both teams to try to get the capture of the point initially. But now they still have to capture the point, and Dignitas are holding quite well at the moment. Deadeye at the ready, Vainless ready to go with the nano boost. They might decide to get aggressive here, but I think they're probably just going to hold out, with Cruz actually going over to the Pharah. He still has to try to put some damage out onto Bromas to make sure that he's not going to be contested when he does go up, and Deadeye actually coming out. Bromas now, actually eliminated by Cruz, who makes that shoulder peek work for him, and the Deadeye going to be taken out completely as Cruz body shot all over the place. Evoke eliminated there, and an uncontested Cruz has been just serving up a platter of death. Toxican right now taking down pretty low as well. And again, Cruz needs some healing here. I think Rubicon looking for that heal as he's going ahead and reloading, but does actually get that heal off. Shark taking down pretty low. They need to make sure that he gets alive, and Earthshatter are going to be coming out here more than likely as soon as what 7 actually comes out right there, and that was so strong.
What a huge play coming out from Sharik. He was slept in the back lines, actually, and Rubicon was keeping him alive that whole time and putting bubbles on him. He comes back, gets the biotic grenade, and lands a meaty Earth Shatter. The exact clutch ultimate that eUnited needed to be able to take that, but 12 seconds on the clock, so they weren't able to do it with a minute there. So that means that Dignitas still have an opportunity to be able to put time on the point. But this is where we come down to this super clutch situation where it really matters actually how much percentage cap you get on the point as well, because different compositions allow you to position differently on the point. So do they go for a more tanky comp that's more likely to be able to be pushed back away from the point, or have to commit your Reinhardt onto it in the middle? Or do they play a more mobile composition where different flankers like the Tracer or the Genji or the Winston can stay on the point and try and block it for longer? I don't know what the correct answer is. I don't know whether teams have even really thought about these kind of situations yet, because they've only played a couple of days with this patch. But it looks like for the moment, it's going to be eUnited starting on the defense with a more tanky 2-2-2 comp with Sharik on the Reinhardt and Unfixed on that Zarya.
And of course, the other situation that you could also pull out, or composition that you could pull out as well, is just, there are actually two. You could go with a stalling comp as well, pulling out things like Diva and Mei, or and just not even worry about the lethality and just trying to hope that you can kind of out-sustain them. Or you could even go for space creation like you would with like Selfless or something like that, and just try to take advantage of the fact that it's a small time pool allotted, and maybe just try to take advantage of that and get aggressive and just win 2 quick fights and carry the momentum from the first. But again,
lots of options.
Yeah, a lot of options. And again, I have to agree. I don't think that the teams have given too much thought, as it just hasn't been a lot of time here, and they're just jumping forward, and they are going to be more than likely taking it. So they are going to be taking some time here, and it's going to go up to 15%. And I think eUnited are just banking on the fact that they're going to be able to hold this one out completely. And now What7 actually taken down pretty low, forced to actually turn his shield a little bit, and that's giving Valataja a lot of room to work with here, as he's just coming in and out of that little back room, and What7 taking down pretty low. They haven't been able to get this elimination, and they need to, and Shark taken out. That means that eUnited is playing from behind here, Unfixed, actually with huge energy, as Rubicon goes for the sleep dart onto Bromas, but he very intuitively somehow is able to shield that one off, and it is going to be Dignitas getting this first point, and that does not sound too good for eUnited.
The bells, as Big Ben strikes and potentially strikes doom for eUnited. That's they allowed Toxigen to get into the top room, and that's a dangerous position to allow Afara to be in, because he had utter control of the entire battleground, raining rockets into everybody, and now it's just how far can Dignitas push it in overtime. They're setting a really good win condition for themselves.
And now What7 actually going to get boosted up and shielded. Earthshatter coming out does actually land onto Morte there, as they're pushing them back. Valataja looking to try to make a pick. Earthshatter coming out, and that's going to find a double kill actually, with Valataja coming through with the pulse bomb, able to find Vaneless right before it goes off. Toxican in the skies right now with the Sound Bearer, looking to make a play, trying to turn things back around. Shouldn't actually happen, as it is going to be 55 meters ran through by Dignitas after that first point, and now only 1 minute and 12 seconds as side swap for eUnited to go the distance and beat out what Dignitas just did. And I think it was a little bit of a disappointment there for eUnited, who I think should have been able to make that first hold with only 1 minute on the time bank.
Silver lining for them is that the card really didn't get that far. They lost the first fight. There was definitely potential. If Dignitas win the next fight, which they could have done, they had a lot of ults live, then who knows how far that card goes. Maybe it even reaches the second checkpoint in that situation, or something crazy like that. And eUnited are completely locked out of the map. They still could potentially take it. Their first point offense last time was a little sloppy. They didn't take it too quickly, but they did get it in one kind of extended fight. So if they can find the initial picks that they need, still potential for them to be able to win. But you gotta say, Dignitas, they've done so well in this lower bracket, and they're bringing it straight to one of our top teams, eUnited, and they're setting the pace for this game.
So now a lot of swaps actually coming out from Dignitas. They were unsure of what they wanted to do there. They were thinking about the Genji with Linkser there, but I think they ultimately just decided that they wanted that extra little support and staying power on the point, with Toxican being able to project those barriers over to What7, as well as Linkser, of course, being able to find the picks on the Roadhog. I think this is definitely a solid pickup for them, and we will see Rubicon currently on the Hanzo, just checking there. He's going to swap back over to that Ana more than likely. Oh, going over to the Zenyatta, my apologies. But it is going to be Rubicon up in the skies here on the Pharah, and they need to be kind of quick about this. I mean, they need to be able to decisively win this first fight so they can carry momentum into the second one, because they were able to make the stop after that first fight, and really that's what they need here. And again, Lynx are coming back around on the side looking for a pick, might be able to find a hook. Actually, is going to be teleported away by Valutaja as he dodges that one out, and Unfixed kind of low in the skies right now, kind of answered by Bromas so far. And look how close these guys are. We have to remember that they want to be contesting the point for as long as possible. 30 seconds remain here in the time bank. What7 now in the back. Bromas taken down kind of a little bit. And actually, Valutaja able to find that kill as he was trying to deal with Unfixed in the sky. And that's going to be eUnited pulling out this first point more than likely. Lynx are trying to make a re-entry here. Is going to be taken out very easily with Rubicon, of course, putting out that Discord. And Valutaja with the damage and the support as well. And 10 seconds now. This is going to go into overtime with eUnited making the push. Again, they have to win this next fight.
Looking at the ultimates, how likely is it that they're going to be able to get to that glorious gold checked box? They have a lot of ults to work with. They've got that support ultimate from Rubicon that's going to keep them alive, but Nano Boost from Vaynerless could definitely come in. In general, you'll get a better end out of the Transcendence as long as your players are properly positioned. But if they sync it up with the Whole Hog as well, Lynx is just going to vomit out damage. Oh, they actually put it onto What7. Here's the fight that's going to define who wins King's Row. Trying to get the damage out. This Transcendence has kept people alive, but Valutaja is actually the first to fall. This tactical visor coming in from behind from Bromas as well, as him and Lynx are sync up to wipe the floor with eUnited, and they're going to take King's Row here, Ix.
All off the back of that initial pick by Bromas, who came in and clutched that in overtime, able to kill off Unfixed there on the Pharah, and that was a huge pickup because Unfixed was sitting there with the barrage. They of course had Rubicon there with the Transcendence, and Cruz was very close to getting his Dragon Blade at the time, and certainly did manage to get it eventually. But I think that play to take out Unfixed and create a 6v5 advantage was huge for them. They were able to find the kills as well inside, with Vaynerless actually landing a nice biotic to be able to secure those kills with Rubicon's Transcendence up. So really great plays there, and of course Unfixed, despite the fact that he did get taken out in overtime, was managed to get that play of the game. And now the next map that we're going to be seeing actually is going to be Lijiang Tower. That's going to be eUnited pulling that one out.
All of these maps are just... This map pool is actually pretty crazy for all of these matchups. Lijiang Tower, they haven't played on a control map yet, but I thought that it was likely that we'd end up going over there, and I don't even want to offer any kind of prediction because both of these teams have been able to pull it out exactly when it matters. I've been so impressed with Dignitas. I'm less impressed with eUnited in a sense because I was expecting it more, but they have been fantastic as well.
Now going into Lijiang Tower here, I mean, obviously eUnited with the dive certainly looks pretty strong, but we've seen Dignitas pull out the dive themselves, and I definitely think that we shouldn't underestimate the dive that they are able to provide, as well as Toxican, certainly a pretty strong Pharah in it of his own. And now going into this next one, I mean, what do you think? I mean, you didn't want to give a prediction and everything, and I respect that, but
I was just too scared.
The question that I actually have is, given, you know, the first, I mean, any one of these maps, the fact that we will see the teams, I mean, Dignitas more than likely being a lot more versatile than eUnited, I imagine that eUnited will be dive heavy pretty much on every single map. I mean, do you expect that the fact that Dignitas might pull out maybe something other than a dive, do you think that will hurt them or help them going into the next one?
I think it'll hurt them overall, actually. I think if we were playing something like Nepal, then definitely the added versatility to their roster, and in general, their execution has been good. I think, though, Lijiang, of all of the control maps, I'm just trying to kind of run through them, but I think this is reasonable to say that in terms of all of the control maps, Lijiang's one of them that is most favored towards running this triple DPS style, and the teams that are good on it tend to absolutely excel on Lijiang, and you have really close back and forth games. So I think eUnited, despite losing it to Movistar Riders in the previous series, I would still favor them. I'm just, as I said, I'm scared to offer a prediction because Dignitas, I keep kind of counting them out or thinking of them as the underdogs, and yet they pull through when it matters in a lot of these situations. It is 1-1 in the series, and I think Lijiang's a good pick for eUnited to go over to, but they've already lost a couple of the control maps so far, and Dignitas are going to have to execute incredibly well, don't get me wrong, if they want to be able to beat them, but so far they've just kind of pulled this magic out of nowhere when they really needed to take the maps.
Yeah, of course. I mean, on Nepal, you have Sanctum that you could pull out, a triple tank, and that works very, very effectively, especially with the soldier there making the picks and everything. But, going over to Oasis, we've seen really, really fantastic performances, actually by Laser Kittens most especially on that map, making good use of things like Roadhog as well. And then, of course, on Ilios, one of the best dive teams in the game right now, which is Rogue, of course, has been shut down repeatedly on Ruins, especially when you see teams pulling out stuff like Widowmakers as well. So certainly the dive, I have to agree, favors Lijiang Tower a lot more. And I think that kind of does work out in eUnited's favor a little bit. So it makes sense why they pulled it out. At least this King of the Hill map, as opposed to any other. But again, I mean, really, I think the only one is Command Center or whatever that actually has really kind of any hopes of bringing out any kind of tank. I mean, other than that, it really is dive heavy for this particular map. And now going over into this map, I mean, we already talked about a little bit, and it looks like teams are ready, so we will be jumping into the game in just a moment. But one last question before we actually do jump in. I mean, talking about the fact that Dignitas does have a little bit more versatility, and that does give them some kind of favor. I mean, we did just see them take King's Row, and it was their map pick, but I personally expected eUnited to be able to win that one out. And again,
same.
I mean, eUnited so effective and so efficient with that dive, but I mean, do you think that it's been the same eUnited that we've seen in the past that we're seeing now today? Because in my opinion, while we've been seeing a few glimpses of Cruz and Valataja and Shark jumping in and being effective and finding those instant picks, especially once on Nepal there on Sanctum itself to start things off in the last matchup, it really hasn't seemed like they are on point as much today, or at least as often, because we have seen glimpses, but it hasn't seemed as often.
They're definitely finding it difficult against Dignitas to show their full strength. And it's difficult to tell whether it's them not quite being able to focus down targets as quickly, or whether Dignitas are just providing a lot of support for themselves. I like in general the compositions that Dignitas are trying to run when they're going a little more tanky into eUnited, and they've got that level of comfort with the tanky compositions to be able to go against them. And for example, when you saw NIP play, they played against eUnited and they beat them quite handily. eUnited looked really weak in that map, but I think a part of that is just that if you've got great coordination and a really good Zarya player who's keeping the rest of your team alive and really well, supporting them really well, and you're not really able to get onto the Ana to shut down another line of support for the team, then it gets a little bit difficult. Who do you focus? How are you able to pick them apart? So I'm not sure whether it's an underperformance from eUnited. I think that Dignitas are just matching up to their level, and that makes it a little more tricky.
And now here on Control Center, we will see dive composition of as expected coming out from eUnited, but the question is still going to be, what does Dignitas want to pull out? And it is going to be that tank strat. We talked about how on Control Center, this is really kind of one of the only maps where you could play something like this. I mean, certainly you could play whatever you want, but certainly most
if you want to win.
Yeah, if you want to win, it's most effective on this one, and certainly a little bit less so on the others, where dive is a little bit favored, especially with Farah coming through on Gardens as well. Genji's coming through, I mean, very effective with that. But nonetheless, Broma's going to be on the McCree here, and they're going to be running that triple tank strat, just holding on the high ground here. Coming out of server, and now coming back down to the point. I mean, the control point's going to unlock soon, and certainly looks like eUnited is going to be able to unlock this one first. But now Dignitas approaching and looking for some early picks as Linkster is swinging back around, looking for a hook on the Valataja. Not going to be able to find anything initially, and he's actually going to get a hook on the Shark, but he's going to be taken down pretty low himself. Broma's going to fall, though, as Toxican coming forward, looking again to try to put some pressure down onto Unfixed, who did put himself in a great position up top, where he is just dishing out a ton of damage, especially on the What 7 here. And it is going to be eUnited closing this one out in just a moment, where they're going to be able to get this first cap.
The problem with running the tanky comp without having somebody to contest the high ground, like running triple tank and Genji, I think would be more reasonable, but they're running triple tank McCree and they have nobody to contest Unfixed. They're having to send Linkster all the way around up top and seeing if they can get a 1v1, and he knows that it's coming. Unfixed is smart enough, he's not going to fall for that, so he's just going to be dueling the hog up top and taking out any clutch potential that Linkster has. And Unfixed position's almost unassailable at this point, and he's had it right from the beginning, and there's not really that much that Dignitas can do about it, and it's splitting their attention so badly.
But we are going to be seeing, actually, Linkster showing himself. So now Unfixed knows that nobody's behind him, and he can just freely put out the damage and actually almost takes the kill onto Linkster. And it will be Cruz finding that kill finally, as he does follow that one up. And Evoke now putting himself in a pretty dangerous position. Bromas going forward as well. A lot of healing coming out on the side of Dignitas, but it's not going to be enough at the moment. Tac Visor coming out as well as Evoke falls, and that should be pretty easy pickings here for eUnited, and it's just going to be Bromas that they have to contend with, as he does actually go for the Deadeye. Not going to find anything, but gets nano boosted as well and dealt with by Unfixed again at the top, where they have nobody, like you said, able to contest him. And anytime someone has, which is just once from Linkster, he's just been able to deal with them very easily. So still, I mean, they need to find someone to deal with Unfixed here at the high ground.
Yeah, even if they run Bromas over on the Tracer, he can zip up there and try and take the fight against him, force Unfixed down from the high ground, and then try and deal with him. But they're trying to play outside of the sightlines of Unfixed, but then they can't get on the point either. They've managed to actually bait Sharik into a Graviton that happened over outside of Unfixed's sightline, but Toxicon got booped off the side as well, and they're still finding it difficult even to get onto the point.
So now they do finally switch Toxicant over to the D.Va, and that again is to contest Unfixed up in the skies, and he actually does get slept, so we will more than likely see Toxicant just run up there and try to deal with him, and he does indeed, as he gets actually very aggressive, forcing Unfixed off, and now the Sound Barrier coming out, as well as Linkster pulling out that Dragon Blade for himself, and look at the damage he's been able to find as 3 kills come out, getting those resets, and he should be able to easily wipe the board with these guys, and that will likely be I think a 5k for him if he finds this last kill, as Shark didn't die off it at all. But in overtime, it will be finally finishing off as Linkster, with every kill on the board there, closing things out and finally putting things in Dignitas' favor here. But they have a long ways to go here.
A huge way to go, and a huge ultimate disadvantage at the moment. Unfixed, Rubicon, Sharik, Valitaja, all with their ultimates up. They do have a couple on the board to be able to reply with and make this a bit of a difficult one, but that pick on a Veinless is absolutely crucial. No nano boost. This should be the entry that eUnited need.
But Unfixed getting dealt with a little bit. Dragon Blade coming out, and that's from Linkster after he just had a stellar performance in that last fight, trying to steal this one away as well. And that's going to be Rubicon trying to contest him, and we do see someone sliding over to support him. And Rubicon is going to be able to find that kill alongside Cruz, and that's going to be, actually, I think the point flipped back in favor here as overtime takes out, and eUnited, of course, win this one out, and that's going to be a 1-0 advantage here for eUnited.
And strangely, although I agree that it is the stage that you can run tanks on more, and that seems to be also an opinion that's evident and demonstrated by these teams. It's certainly one that people run tanks on more. Almost every time we've seen that matchup happen, it's been the triple DPS team who end up taking the win, because the triple tank team just can't get position on the point early, end up losing the point, and then get picked apart or have to stick together in deathball on the outsides playing the sightlines. So eUnited outplayed them tactically there, but there was so little that Dignitas could actually do. They were penned into a corner, and now it's time for them to see if they can get back into this one. They're 1-0 down.
Also, there's great geometry on both sides of the map. I mean, the spot that we saw Unfixed in is certainly great, but even on the other side where that health pack is certainly a great spot as well for soldiers to sit, and gives a huge advantage to being able to take that to the diving team as well. But now moving into Night Market here, certainly we will see Dignitas sliding back over to that dive composition. We'll have to see if they're able to do a little bit better with this, which will be kind of interesting. But nonetheless, what's going to be dropped, and it's going to be 2-2 trades here as Linkster finds 2 for himself as well, getting that reset, and he's finally dealt with. Cruz able to find that kill, and that's going to be eUnited once again coming out ahead here on Lijiang Tower. They're going to be able to secure the Night Market first here and give themselves a little bit of an advantage going forward.
And Movistar Riders, when they were playing the triple DPS against eUnited, it was a very tense, and neither team wanted to make mistakes. They were both working on minimizing any potential errors from each team, and at the moment eUnited just look like they're going balls to the wall aggressive, seeing what they can pull out the back.
Cruz in the back trying to deal with Toxican. Actually does find that kill before he falls off, so he's going to be able to get himself close to that Dragon Blade for the next fight, and that's going to be very, very important as he's going to be combating Linkster, who was able to get one of his own. And now they have a couple of options here as Valitaja getting ready to get himself in a position to try to find another pulse bomb pick. And definitely want to look at this guy because he's been very silent today, just working in the shadows, finding the picks and setting things up for eUnited. And looks like this is an opportunity for him to kind of see some more limelight as he's going forward, looking for an opportunity again to throw that pulse bomb out. Gets booped though and not going to be able to find anything. They still find that kill off on what 7, and they're pushing forward. And that's really just Shark finding the spacing there. And again, finding some more kills there as he boots people off. That's going to be Vaneless dying off. Cruz was eliminated by Linkster, but both of those guys were able to hold on to the Dragon Blade, and that's going to be more than likely used in this next fight. But both support ults coming up actually for the side of eUnited.
The difference in decision-making and positioning is really interesting, because while we saw Movistar Riders and eUnited play the same kind of style, where they're trying to play reactively into each other and bait out the first mistake, Dignitas very much speed boosting, death balling with this triple dive, trying to get on the point really quickly, making plays happen. It hasn't worked for them so far though, as Cruz rips them apart again. 3 kills already for his Dragon Blade. They didn't even have to use many ultimates there, and they're already at 90%. If they push up into spawn, how are Dignitas even going to be able to get there?
Yeah, they somehow have to run right through them, and that's going to be very tough. We do see Toxican coming out with a tactical visor, and he does find the kill on Morte, but it's going to be eUnited answering back with 2 of their own. Make it 3 as Rubicon finds another, and Unfixed is untouched, just easily dealing with these guys as Rubicon comes up, and what 7 is the only one on the point, has a Discord on him, with Rubicon falling back, and that will be that. Overtime ticking down 100-0 for eUnited here as they take the second map on Night Market, and now moving into the last one, which will be Garden here. We'll have to see if eUnited can make a clean sweep of things.
And in general, our kind of model that we very, in broad strokes painted, of Dignitas being an excellent team across the board, but not really having the execution in terms of the triple dive DPS composition, seems to be holding true. eUnited, when it comes to the 3v3 DPS comps, is outplaying them and making better decisions as well as it just being based on individual talent. I think they're literally playing their positioning and their target calling, and when they choose to play the objective much more cerebrally. I think it's a matchup that they've had more experience with, and showing their experience right here.
Oh no, I've had the team swapped actually this entire time, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that that gets flipped here while things start up. That was actually for quite a while, unfortunately. Apologies for that, but nonetheless,
Shall be losing their minds.
Yeah, they'll be losing their minds for sure. But nonetheless, and that was for 2 rounds actually that was actually occurring. But nonetheless, things coming into this. Unfixed finding that first kill, and it's going to be again eUnited battling into this one. Toxican taken down pretty low. It's just him and Bromas holding on to things as Bromas is the last one alive, trying to deal with the rest of these guys. And Valitaja again, that silent guy in the back line, just consistently dealing out the damage. And that's going to be easy for him to finish that one out. And eUnited for the 3rd time here, able to get this first cap, and definitely looking pretty solid at the moment here on Lijiang Tower.
The Tracers that we've been seeing play have been absolute menaces on a lot of these, in a lot of these games. Logix, when we saw Movistar play, was fantastic. Valitaja is excellent as well, and Bromas is no slouch, and he's got a deep hero pool as well. Cruz on the Pharah, picking up 2 already. He's at 80% of his barrage and going uncontested in the air. Trying to, most of the time when you see Pharah v Pharah in terms of compositions, they spend most of the time trying to fight each other because it's so dangerous to put your attention on anybody else, but both of them there just putting all the damage into the rest of the compositions, and Cruz coming out on top, piling it into the rest of Dignitas. And they're already 50% up nearly.
We do see Bromas coming back forward, and I mean, they're going to need a lot here. They have both support ults coming up, and that's going to be Evoke coming through with the sound barrier, and now Vaneless actually will be able to get that nano boost as well, and they're going to entry with that, and we do see the pulse bomb completely eliminating the sound barrier off of Vaneless, and they find that kill immediately. Shark going to be able to pull out that Primal Rage, but he doesn't actually pull it out at all, and Cruz here has the barrage, not required to pull it out. And again, eUnited with another win. Again, very clinical so far from these guys here on Lijiang. Definitely looking a lot better than what they did versus Movistar Riders.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Dignitas have the experience with this composition or the coordination to be able to take advantage of any small weakness, which we saw in our previous fixture Linkster and Bromas, though, picking up a couple of kills. They're being able to make use of the ultimates that they just expended, and that's going to be the point flipped over, it looks like. But eUnited, so much time to be able to get back into this. A full minute and a half before they're even level, and they've got a couple of ultimates ready to push in with as well. That sound barrier from Morte is going to allow them free initiation.
And we do see the Primal Rage jumping out from What7, and he actually gets slept almost immediately. Should be able to push Rubicon off the map, and does indeed. Right after, actually, Rubicon is able to pull himself back on there and somehow find himself back on the map. Valataja finding even more kills and even more value on this Tracer here. Pulse Bomb at the ready. Shouldn't actually need it to find the kills that he needs, and Bromas left here as they do actually get control back again. eUnited now at 95%. Need to kill off Linkster soon if they want to be able to secure this point. And now Links are going to be finished off. That's going to be ticking into overtime, and we do see all 6 members. Oh, a nice Pulse Bomb stick coming out on a Toxican. Valataja finds another, and that's going to be just Evoke on the point. They deal with him as well, trying to deal with this stagger. And oh man, What7 gets pulled out as well, and that should be it here. I don't think anybody's going to be able to get on. Linkster, the last person alive, and that's going to be it. 3-0 in favor of eUnited as they manage to get ahead, and now going 2-1 on the set.
Well, they absolutely showed the dominance in terms of that particular matchup. When they force Dignitas on a map that favors triple DPS to go for the dive v dive, they are the masters. But Dignitas have still got a couple of maps in the pool that would be fine for them to go to. So there's still life in this series. Yeah, we're only 2-1 up here for eUnited, but starting to feel a little more comfortable in the series, I think, because they probably know that if they go to Nepal, they're probably favored on a couple of those stages as well.
And now moving into potentially map point here. We'll have to see what Dignitas wants to pull out. And we talked a little bit about how this could go very long, that we could see a game 5 here between these two teams. And it is going to be actually Dignitas pulling out Route 66. They're going to be defending first, actually. And
I think this is a good plan. Dignitas, I mean, in general, it fits their composition and their style a bit better. They're able to use the tanks and roll it forward. It'll play a little like King's Row in terms of, you know, in general, the two maps play kind of similarly. The payload portion of King's Row playing a little similarly to Route 66. But eUnited beat them last time they literally played this map earlier in the group stage, I believe it was. But eUnited did lose this map to Movistar as well, so should be a really tight game that we've got here, Hurix.
Yeah, now moving into the game here, of course, Dignitas starting things out on defend. I mean, I'm definitely looking for a pretty solid performance here, but they're going to have to contend with that dive from eUnited, and I imagine we're going to be... I mean, do you think we're going to be seeing a Pharah here come out from eUnited, or...?
They haven't been using it that often. They've kind of favored the Soldier 76 and the Genji so far when they've been playing this particular map, I think. And if they're playing the Pharah and Toxican is on the D.Va with Bromas on the Soldier, I think they'll switch off pretty quickly as well, because that's not a great comp to be playing Pharah into, even if you're using the just to get them off big Earls and try and do damage or something like that. Toxican and Bromas are going to put a lot of pressure on you. So I think it would be better for them to stick to what's currently been their bread and butter in the Soldier 76, the Genji and Tracer, with Rubicon on that Zen.
And we will see Bromas here on the Soldier 76 at the moment, and they're opting for Toxican actually to be on the D.Va here on the defensive side, maybe thinking that they could see a Pharah coming out, but not going to be the case, as we will see that Soldier Genji that you were mentioning before, and of course Valataja has been a staple on the Tracer. And Linkster going over himself to that Roadhog, trying to make some plays. They're going to be on that 3-tank composition with Toxican on the D.Va as opposed to the Zarya that you're used to seeing probably, but we'll have to see if eUnited is able to do anything here with this dive composition that they're going to start out with.
Here's my problem. If Toxican's not on the Zarya, then What7's kind of left a little high and dry, and Toxican has to play just trying to peel the damage off him, essentially, just using that defense matrix to make sure that he's not focused down as much, and then going in and trying to apply pressure to their backline. So quite a lot of pressure here on Toxican to deliver on the D.Va.
Have to see if he's able to do just that. They've been able to actually kind of win out in this pressure game a little bit because of the reduced damage taken from Toxican putting out that that defense matrix there. Linkster already able to find a kill onto Shark, and that's basically his entire job. So he's been able to secure that kill. That's good news there, as he also finds another onto Balataja. A nice right click there. Oh, with 1 HP, a nice amount of healing coming out onto Linkster, both from Vaneless and himself there, as they secure that one. And Linkster again coming alive with that right click, and they make that first hold a minute off the clock initially here for Dignitas.
They focused on Watt 7. Toxicum wasn't able to keep him alive, but they sacrificed so much attention onto Watt 7 that Linkster was able to get those picks, and Toxicum was also in a position then to take up the role of essentially the main tank for the team. So it was well executed by Dignitas so far, but unfixed, and the rest of eUnited looking for blood. Pulse bomb used, and that's going to take out Watt 7 immediately. They didn't have to invest too much time into that. Unless Vaneless still upstairs, and that's attack visor used over on unfixed, but he's asleep on the floor, getting his 40 winks. He wants just to take a nap in the middle of this team fight, but it's all right because the rest of his team have won anyway.
And we will see eUnited pushing this forward here, and overall it seems like a lot of time has been taken away from eUnited, certainly stolen away actually, as we do see Dignitas getting ready for that re-entry, and they have a lot of options pushing into this one. They have self-destruct, they have, you know, basically everything actually going into this, as long as Watt 7 doesn't die off early. If he can kind of create some early space for them, he might be able to get a fire strike off himself, and we do see Rubicon just jumping right in with that Transcendence, trying to start things off, and Linkster actually, with that sound barrier up on top of him, is able to meet with Toxican and Bromas. They find 3 kills, and those are onto 2 pivotal picks there. Cruz shut out, and that's going to reduce a lot of that lethality from the composition of eUnited, and another hold from Dignitas here, looking very solid on defense.
They certainly are, and look at all of the ultimates up for them as well. They've been able to push up their defense essentially to where it was before. They're starting to back off now and play a little more around the cart, but so many ultimates to work with on both sides, to be honest. So those will really come into effect in this pivotal team fight, see if they can take checkpoint 1.
Linkster looking for that kill onto Unfixed, going for the hook actually onto Rubicon, not going to be able to find it, and now he's in kind of a weird position looking for his hook cooldown to come back up, and Bromas in the meantime finding 2 kills for himself, make it 3 as he finds Unfixed as well, and that's going to be Dignitas making yet another hold. Just a minute to work with here if you're eUnited to be able to close this out and push this through to that second point, and man, it's not looking like they're going to be able to do that here. I mean, they have Cruz coming up, they have Sound Barrier. I mean, this is essentially their last possible shot, but if Watt 7 actually shuts them down with an Earth Shatter, I think that'll be pretty much it.
Could definitely be, along with a couple of hooks coming out of Linkster, so they've got quite a bit of clutch potential to be able to lock this one out. Ultimates on the board though, Sound Barrier could stop a couple of those things in the middle of their stride. They've managed to back Dignitas into a corner for the moment. Linkster uses his hook as well. Sound Barrier used, whole hook, oh, and that's going to be unfixed, just pushed up the side of the walls, the Grand Canyon, all the way up to the top. And they've already found 2 picks here. This is looking disastrous for eUnited.
But Watt 7 needs to be alive here to try to deal with this, and we do see the Earthshatter coming out. Linkster's still alive, and they're trying to hold on. Sound Barrier coming out, not going to be onto Vaneless as he just made his entry back onto the point, and Cruz actually does get dealt with a little bit, but not actually killed off, and Linkster looking for some kills. They do have Toxica on the point, just dishing out a ton of DPS here, and man, look at Linkster just getting melted there by Unfixed as he came through. Does have only 0 energy, and self-destruct coming out as well, able to find nothing at the moment. The eUnited finally in overtime able to win that fight out. Balataja coming through with a clutch pulse bomb and pushing this one through, but man, that was close there. They almost didn't make it.
Oh, that was insanely close, and what a turnaround that would have been for Dignitas if they'd been able to hold them even before the first checkpoint. They would have almost guaranteed themselves a win on Route 66, and now going to be kicking themselves a little bit because this second stage is really difficult to get back into if you have late deaths like they just did contesting the first checkpoint. So the fact they committed to that might have been an overcommitment in the larger scheme of things if eUnited are able to apply pressure, but Dignitas cleverly making use of both entrances to come in, and that splits the attention. They can't just focus on a single choke point. eUnited forced back to the cart where they'll begin their next attack.
And Cruz now with the Dragon Blade gets dealt with by Bromas, who got shielded with the Tack Visor up as well. Great use of those 2 skills, and Now Bromas is going to be taken out by Shark as he comes up and contests that high ground to push him off of it. Valataja now trying to take out Linkser. He pulls out his heel, and now he's not going to have any option. Goes for the hook, but that's going to be missed. Valataja should be able to find this kill with ease, but man, Linkser coming through with 20 HP, finds that left click onto him, and the kill along with it. And now Cruz battling through, gets Bladdock grenaded, forced to pull back more than likely as Bromas is back in action here. That's going to be eUnited pulling back again here with just above a minute here to spare. Try to push this one. And now Toxicant actually overextending a lot.
Whoa, yeah, what is that overextension from Evoke and Toxicant? Maybe they thought that they would just be able to grab that pick onto Rubicon and then immediately back out, but a couple of players die. Bromas is trying to recover it with his nano boost, seeing if they can get the picks, and Vainless another biotic grenade. His biotic grenades have been on point. Every time a player goes in with an aggressive ultimate that they can't quite back up with, like they don't have the nano boost, and sometimes they don't have a support ult at all to be able to use with it. He gets the biotic grenades onto Cruz or Unfix. They finish them off really quickly. So Vainless has been a player that's really adding a lot of utility from his Ana pick as well.
On top of that, we see a lot of options here. I mean, Bromas, Toxicant both coming up pretty close, and it's going to come down to this last fight. So if those two guys can stay alive, they're going to have that much more utility going into this next one with those two ultimates coming up about midway through. But it's basically going to come down to that sound barrier, just giving them a little bit more time to work with, and they don't have anything. I mean, Rubicon has his Transcendence, but we'll have to see if Unfix can come through with a very, very strong Graviton. Not going to be the case here, at least initially, as he's looking for an opportunity to drop it. And we already see Bromas with a kill. Graviton comes out, gets 4. Look at this! eUnited back in this Valataja with a nice pulse bomb.
That's exactly what they needed. They clutch it out in overtime once again on the first checkpoint, now on the second checkpoint. I thought when Rubicon died and he had his Transcendence up that would be curtains here for eUnited, but they pull it out the bag with that big bang combo, plus just pouring in the damage from the rest of them. Great coordination. Are they going to be able to get players in Dignitas to try and block this one?
No,
looks like they're not going to be able to. This second checkpoint is going to be reached. Oh, Linkser gets a hook, but they're still not going to be able to contest. They've only got a minute and a half now, though, but eUnited just pulling it out. Look how far they've come, despite the fact they've looked like the worst team overall.
I actually think that Dignitas made a little bit of an error in judgment there. I think they should have gone in there. I mean, Linkser came through with a pick, so ultimately, like, they would have been ahead. They would have had that 6v5 advantage, but nonetheless, I think they had time to get there, which is why I think initially they should have gone, but we'll have to see. I mean, Shark contesting that high ground, pushing these guys back a little bit, and he actually gets taken down pretty low himself as he gets biotic grenaded, taken down to 70 HP, looking for a heal. We see Toxicant dropping that Graviton Surge, and What7 coming through with a nice Fire Strike, able to find those kills, and they need actually What7 to find those kills himself as they want to get that Earth Shatter so they have more control in these fights. And it is going to be Vainless with that Nano Boost coming up pretty soon, and Rubicon has been holding on to this Transcendence for quite a while here.
Seems like an unrealistic expectation to expect the map to be completed for eUnited, so it comes down to how far can they actually push it. They're looking to chain some kills together. Oh, Rubicon gets hooked again before he uses Transcendence. There's only 20 seconds left. That's disastrous that that's happened twice in a row, and eUnited forced to back off just on the back of that pick. Again, Linkser pulling out clutch hooks for his team. Oh, throws in another one, but not quite able to land it onto Unfixed. They know what ultimates are there for them as well. Tactical Bites are starting to come up here for Bromas as well. Crunch time, Hurix.
And Bromas right now in the backline looking for that tack visor, and Linkser able to find that kill on Rubicon again. No Transcendence available for these guys, and Nano Boost comes up. Bromas with the tack visor and the Nano Boost as well should be able to shut down Cruz, and a nice Earth Shatter coming out as well from What7. Bromas is all over the kill feed here, finding kill after kill. It's overtime. They should be able to mop this up as Valataja goes down. It's just the Transcendence coming up to try to save Shark, and they won't be able to contest this for much longer. The Sleep Dart comes out, shuts down Winston. Overtime ticks down, and that will be that. 2 points on the board there for eUnited's attack with 22 meters past that, and now Dignitas in a great position to push this one forward.
I don't know about Finland's gift to esports, but he's certainly Finland's gift to Dignitas, and he's absolutely pulling out these clutch hooks again and again. Is that 3 times in a row that he managed to find Rubicon trying to use the same Transcendence in a pivotal team fight, and he just denies it again and again and again? What a boss. That was fantastic stuff from Linkser and completely denied them any extra room.
That's very important for them as well. I mean, Linkser, of course, has stepped up over the past 2 days, and he was always a performer for Dignitas, but I think, again, over the past 48 hours, or even really kind of 24 hours, actually, if you think about it, because it really kind of started, 6 hours ago. So 30 hours it's been since this man has just taken off out of nowhere and really kind of stepped up and basically been the clutch performer throughout this playoff series, this lower bracket series that Dignitas has really needed to be able to get into this position here. And again, right now it is 1-2 with eUnited up, and now things swapping, of course, with Dignitas on the attack. Dignitas needs this map to keep their tournament hopes alive as they're sitting in the lower bracket right now, but if eUnited takes this, they're going to go into a rematch best of 5 up against Movistar Riders with this same exact map pool that we saw them lose to already, which was, of course, a 3-0, but very curious to see who's going to be able to pull this one out. Dignitas look poised to take this map and maybe send us into a Game 5 where eUnited will have pick advantage going into that one, but we do see some swaps. Toxican more than likely going to swap off of that Orisa, I have to imagine, with Bromas right now actually on the Tracer here. So Toxican going to be going on to the D.Va as he did on the defense for that first point, and Bromas again on that Tracer, so opting not for the Soldier. And now we do see the dive again coming out for eUnited, as that was probably unquestioningly the case, I would say, for eUnited, who have been consistently pulling out this composition.
The D.Va threw a lot of spanners into their plans before. They didn't look like they quite had the right plan to be able to deal with it. Toxican's already in trying to neutralize Unfixed in the backline, as that is also relieving pressure from What7, who for the moment is staying alive. And eUnited can't quite find a singular target that they want to focus on. Bromas is in the backline, just a single clip destroys Unfixed, and now he's putting pressure on Rubicon. Gonna meet up with Toxican as well, and they have essentially counter-dived the dive team and wrecked their back line with that Tracer and D.Va.
And pushing through the first fight one, it took less than a minute for them to get that one, and now another opportunity will arise for eUnited, them to try to contest this point yet again, but they need everybody back up from that respawn there, coming through with Unfixed at 71% here for his tactical visor, and wanting to get probably up into some high ground action, probably make his way over to Big Earls, I would have to imagine. But he is actually going to contest Bromas, and Bromas going to find a double kill! Rubicon was sitting right next to Unfixed, and he found that one, and they're going to open up with a lot of an advantage there, pushing forward with a 5v4, and now Morte is dealt with. Dignitas again pulling through, just have to deal with Cruz, who's on the point, surviving for a very long period of time, as actually Valutaja falls off as well, with Evoke finding that last kill, the last 2 kills rather, with that right click, and now pushing through just under 5 minutes. Dignitas with an incredible pace here on Route 66.
Yeah, and from eUnited, they can't find individual targets anymore. Since Bromas has switched over to the Tracer as well, very slippery, they can't really pin him down in the same way they could when he was on Soldier 76 on McCree or something like that. Toxicon on the D.Va as well, difficult. It's probably their best bet is to try and force out the defense matrix and see if they can get a pick onto Toxican or What7, maybe get onto Veinless, but so far they've struggled to find that cohesive focus calling and target selection that's carried them so far through this tournament.
And we do see Primal Rage coming out as well from Shark, and he's hoping to stay alive. What7 under no pressure at all. Earthshatter gonna be solo onto Morte. He was trying to get Valutaja involved in that as well, but not gonna be able to find it. And now it's gonna be back and forth here. Dignitas a little bit ahead as Bromas looking for some kills, able to find one there, but Cruz in the backline gonna be taken out again. Lynx are coming through with 2 kills of his own. The clutch master himself pushing this forward for Dignitas, and eUnited have not found anything so far in their defense. They have been shut down completely here by Dignitas.
Now, the positive side for them is that it's not difficult for them to really get back out. Oh, Bromas is hiding. He's looking for some kind of pulse bomb. He's within single blink distance of everybody. He's just going to creep
with the stick!
Right on top of them. Oh, gets the double kill there on the Unfix and Rubicon. That's the second time this map already. He's carrying stuff for his team. He's just allowing them so much extra room.
And he already put in the damage onto Morte there, had him pretty low, and was able to take out Valutaja, put some pressure onto Cruz. He's literally won every single fight that he's taken, and he's been doing it pretty much almost by himself, actually, for the most part here. And man, what a performance by Bromas to push this through, and look how much time they have to push this. I mean, this is pretty much all but secured things for Dignitas to take us to a map number 5.
4.5 minutes to hold the payload, about 5 meters. That is an incredibly tough ask. Cruz and Valitaji get the first 2 picks, but Sharik's fallen, main tank for them down, and they've still got a lot of ults to work with here as well. I don't know whether they're actually going to commit them because they've already lost players, but they've also got an enormous spawn advantage. It really is all but said and done. It's just requiring the single execution here for Dignitas as they start moving the cart forward. It's got to be an incredibly aggressive defense. They've got to drop down to the cart so often here as well.
Yeah, they have to get aggressive because it's right next to that point, only 3.5 meters away or so. And we do see Dignitas coming through with that sound barrier of their own, and we do see the stick coming out on the Shark, and that's going to eliminate him. Bromas once again with a nice play, and certainly looking for Linkser to make one of his own, but he gets eliminated. And now Bromas looking for some kills, finds Rubicon, needs to find Unfixed as well as Mortes. They're both low on the point. That should be it. Valutaja going to fall as well, and that'll be the point pushing through, and that's a Game 5 secured here by Dignitas as they push that one through on Route 66.
Fantastic performance from Dignitas. They looked unstoppable on their offense, and although they fell in a couple of crucial situations on the defense, they had bled so much time, and eUnited had to pull at straws to be able to get the card as far as they did. So overall, massive outplay there in terms of Route 66 for the side of Dignitas. But Li Zhang was so strong the other way towards the United that this map advantage could be huge for them coming into this final game. It's been so close though in this lower bracket final. What a fixture between these two teams.
And who would have thought that not only Dignitas would be in this position just initially, but on top of that, they would be taking it 2-2 going into a Game 5 against eUnited. And if we look over at the standings in terms of how they got here, eUnited already 2-0'd them to send them into this position to begin with. And now for Dignitas to turn things around and not only feed their way into this position where they were able to take out not only Laser Kittens, not only NIP, but also Misfits to even get to this match, and now contesting a team that fairly easily actually took them out the first time. It's been insane to see the progress that they've made over just the past couple of days here.
It's been monumental for Dignitas. The question really outside of this tournament afterwards is going to be, can they keep it up? Can they bring this kind of performance next time? Was this just a run of form? But for now, we just have to sit here and enjoy the beauty of the coordination that they've managed to pull out, because everybody's firing on all cylinders, it seems, so far.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's the case, and we're just waiting on the map to come out from the side of eUnited. And I think we're going to go into a quick break for the admins at least, but we'll have to see if that's going to apply. So we are actually going to go into a quick break here, just so the admin can deal with some stuff really quick and the teams can ready themselves, because this is it. I mean, the loser of this team or this game is going home, and we will see the winner of it, of course, going into that grand final. So we want to give the teams a little bit of an ability to recuperate. Certainly eUnited, who has had to play 2 games so far, and potentially a third if they're able to make it. So we're going to go into a quick break, guys. We'll be back in just a minute for that last game that will decide who goes on to the grand finals tomorrow. Against, sorry, Movistar Riders. Just wanted to select a couple things. We'll be right back, guys. Welcome back, everyone. This is the EU playoffs for Overwatch PIT. Again, this is the lower bracket final. We already saw eUnited sent down by Movistar Riders 3-0 in that series. I mean, really largely an upset for that one. And now Dignitas, who have been battling through with some upsets themselves and just taking out NIP, taking out Misfits, taking out Laser Kittens in the bottom side of the bracket as well, have found themselves in a position now where they have tied things up at 2-2, going into a final map, which will be Nepal, and we are just about to get that match underway to find out who will be going on to the grand finals tomorrow against Movistar Riders.
Here's the thing, though. Although on Lijiang, the triple DPS v triple DPS was won conclusively by eUnited, they absolutely outskilled them. I don't think there's any question there. If you look back at Nepal, which isn't a map that favors triple DPS as much, certainly the Shrine is probably the best one for it. Village is pretty good as well, and Sanctum not so good, but still teams can play it and can have success on it. The Dignitas have been able to beat some good teams on Nepal, though, particularly NIP, actually, and they were clutching even Sanctum against them with, again, Linksa hitting ridiculous hooks onto people and just dumpstering them into the pit. So this is going to be a really close one, I think. In general, if they're running triple DPS v triple DPS, I think it's going to go broadly in favor of eUnited. But all that Dignitas has to do is win Sanctum and get lucky on one of the other stages, and then get lucky with a bit of RNG and then straight back in it, or just completely clutch it and flip it over on his head with some kind of other 2-2-2 or triple tank tracer composition like they were running on Route 66. So blinder of a final map here, I think, for our lower bracket final.
And I actually agree. I think this could go either way, which is interesting that it actually has wound up on a map that, again, could go to a round number 5. We're already in a map number 5, and it's been back and forth between these teams so far. I mean, looking at the way that we've gotten to this point here, I mean, you talk about Dorado, eUnited able to take that. I mean, Dorado feels like it was forever ago, and we've been in this matchup for so long, going in this best of 5, and then Dignitas able to take Kings Row, Lijiang Tower looking largely in favor of eUnited. And then, of course, we just watched Route 66, which went in favor of Dignitas, and that's why we're sitting here in this 2-2. So back and forth between these two teams, and now jumping into Nepal, I have to imagine, actually, that this is going to be kind of close. I'm expecting, you know, a 3-1 or potentially like a 3-2 happening here. I definitely think that we're going to be seeing Dignitas take a map for sure. It's just going to be a question of which one. And I'm kind of siding with Village. I think that they're going to be able to take, but we'll have to see. Sanctum could certainly be one for them, I think, as well, but obviously they need more than Sanctum to be able to get that win.
Yeah, and when we actually saw Movistar against eUnited was so good on this particular stage on that triple DPS that they actually forced Movistar off the tank, and they had to move to triple DPS just to try and counter it. So, I mean, it might be comparing apples to oranges a little bit, because in general, Dignitas have looked way better at their execution in tanks than Movistar did. Movistar much better at actually just playing the triple DPS. But there's potential here for this matchup to be just kind of over before the teams can really get a feel for each other as well. Because whichever team starts to take the lead, if you're making adaptations in your comps and you've already lost ground, time on the clock, and ultimates, it's so difficult to get back in.
Now Rubicon setting things up a little bit, and we do see eUnited wrapping around that left side, giving that high ground away actually to Dignitas, and they're just going ahead and pressing this and pushing straight onto these guys. What7 has his barrier kind of low, but he's pushing forward anyway. He's going to be able to have a nice opportunity to regenerate that, and they're just jumping right onto the point. It's going to be contested as Shark jumps in, and we're looking for eUnited to make that same play we saw them do against Movistar Riders, but it's not going to actually occur as Bromas finds a kill of his own. Linkser pulling ahead and with one as well, and these guys are going neck and neck, finding kills on the board for the team. And again, I thought really it was going to come down to those two guys making the plays, and it's them all over the kill feed right now. And finally, Linkser is taken out by Cruz as he pulls away to safety and is able to pull out his Dragon Blade with that last fight as well. So certainly expect to see that one as they're looking to re-engage, and not only that, but also steal this point away.
Unfixed was put to sleep, but then the boop comes in as What7 went for the pin. Booped miles away over the top, and they're already finding picks all over the place. They managed to get the point there, Dignitas, but they weren't able to establish position and consolidate their team, be able to get in a good position to bunch up at forwards at the choke points and hold. So instead, picked off, kind of split apart a little bit, and now eUnited in control of the point and starting to take up to these ultimates faster as well, because they're doing more damage against this tanky composition.
Certainly Rubicon helping a little bit with that as well. Discord is going out, helping the flankers find not only the kills, but also a little bit more ult charge in the process. But we will see Valataja looking for a pulse bomb here. He's been pretty consistent with these so far. Might want to just de-mech or potentially just put some pressure on the What7 for them to dive on top of that and find the kill onto the Reinhardt. But they aren't going to be finding anything initially here. Shark already has been taken out. Pulse bomb goes out. Won't find anything, though, as Morte finds a boop onto What7. That's going to open up things on the point, as we do see Rubicon coming forward with that Transcendence, and Unfixed looking for an opportunity to attack. Visor is going to pull it out, and that is going to be nano-boosted Tracer there, with Bromas looking for some kills himself. They're on the point right now, and eUnited ahead at the moment. Unfixed trying to get this. Health pack does manage to get there. Lynx are trying to make some plays to try to get the point back in their favor, and they do actually manage to do that. Shark forced to Primal Rage just to stay alive, and they find the kill onto Lynxer. They're going back onto the point here, Sideshow, and now Shark trying to find the spacing for the rest of the team, trying to de-mech Toxicant here on the D.Va, sends him flying, but it does seem as though Toxicant should be able to get back onto the point, and it will be Shark reintroducing himself, and that's going to be eUnited pulling through. They just have a couple more kills to find. Unfixed coming through with some nice Helix rockets there to get those kills, and gaining the lead once again is eUnited, as they barely managed to hold on to it.
The sloppier the fight gets, the more eUnited have the chance to be able to get the better end of it, because they're doing a lot more damage and focusing off individual people. And they are putting much more pressure on Toxicant this time, which they weren't doing at all on Route 66, and I think is definitely their best option. If they manage to demeg Toxicant, massive amounts of utility taken out in terms of the defense matrix, and they've essentially just got him running around as the baby D.Va doing pretty much nothing compared to the rest of the players on his team. So there's a player that they really can focus, and they're trying to demeg him once again. Toxicant going in, he's been taken out, self-destruct use, but it's down in the pit. Oh, not going to be able to find anybody, even though Morte was potentially out there. He uses his sound barrier, but Dignitas looking like they've got the better end of this fight.
We will see Cruz holding onto that Dragon Blade with pretty much no option to utilize it in that last one, but they now have pretty much all of their offensive ults coming up, as Unfixed is going to be able to get his more than likely, and certainly he's going to try to land a Helix rocket or something like that to try to get it up very quickly in this next fight. And Rubicon's certainly going to be trying to get out the discards on priority targets like Lynxer, because if you can eliminate Lynxer or Toxicant here, that's obviously a lot of utility gone, as Lynxer certainly is a huge threat with that hook. He hasn't been as consistent. Oh, he almost gets booped off there, but he is going to be able to save himself. And What7 coming through with an Earth Shatter. They're looking for follow-up. Not going to be able to find it, as Rubicon comes out with the Transcendence, and he's healing these guys up. Shark was getting reduced to almost nothing. Unfixed pulling out the attack visor is going to get some heals. Toxicant actually going to fall down in the map when he gets de-mech'd, as he was trying to get over to Unfixed to actually reduce him and reduce his value there with the attack visor. But that's going to be, once again, eUnited pulling this one out. They managed to flip the point, but they have one more fight that they have to win, more than likely, against Dignitas. And again, they have to de-mech Toxicant here, or try to reduce the value of Lynxer there on the Roadhog.
Yeah, they've got the Nano Boost and the Sound Barrier and the Whole Hog to deal with, and all they've got is the Primal Rage. This is going to be really difficult for them to hold on. They have to be able to find picks here. That's what they've got to go for. They've got to be able to block the point as well, because they can't really take it back. Maybe Sharry can get a couple of environmental kills, trying to see what he can get onto What7. Sound Barrier has been used and Cruz has already fallen. Here comes the Whole Hog as well. And Nano Boost has been used in the middle of the fight as well. They're about to recap it, as this will trigger overtime for Dignitas. There's only Unfixed and Morte around. They're not going to be able to get on the point either. And Sanctum, the first map of Nepal, or rather the first stage of Nepal, is going to go the way of Dignitas.
Moving forward, I mean, this is it here. There's no possible ties that could happen from this. Nothing. I mean, the winner of Nepal is going on to the grand finals tomorrow against Movistar Riders, who already established themselves securely in that spot with their 3-0 against eUnited already. And they looked pretty strong in that matchup as well, in the winner's bracket as well. But now going ahead, 15 seconds away till the second map, and this is Village. And what do you make of this one? They're going to be going with that tank composition once again, which is another map where you could potentially pull this out and be effective with it. Do you think they're going to have some good value with this, or do you think they're going to have to swap things around with eUnited, maybe taking some early picks?
I think they're going to do this the whole time. I think they're going to do this on Shrine as well. They've proven on Lijiang that they can't go head to head with the eUnited in terms of their triple DPS to triple DPS. So they have to try something. And this map, this particular stage of Village actually works reasonably well for it as well. If they can get if they can avoid Toxicum being demeched and Linkser hit some hooks and they play more inside the point as soon as it unlocks, then they can definitely have success.
United pulling through. Actually, 2 eliminations already from the side of United, actually, as they're pulling back, and Cruz now pretty much the only person alive. They should be able to find this kill. That's going to be Toxic and Vainless finding that frag, and we will see Dignitas already establishing an early lead, and it seems like this triple tank composition has definitely served them well, as again, they just cannot contest with eUnited on that dive. So this is just the best end of the bargain that they can find, and it's certainly working out for them.
Yeah, and I think Rubicon should actually consider switching over to Ana as well. He's being pressured down by Bromas and Toxicant on the Tracer and the Diva, and he's being picked a lot of times. Oh, and then he gets hooked as well, destroyed by Linkser, and that was happening all the time on Route 66. If they have the Ana, then they've got the Biotic Grenade that they can try and use on the tanks as well to pick them off. I feel like it would be a better option for them at this point, but they're still playing... Oh, they've actually switched on Fixed off over to the Zarya, actually, so they're playing this 2-2-2. But back to the OG kind of dive composition that we used to see way back in 2016, but still not having any more success on it than they were with the triple DPS for now.
Yeah, we saw Cruz actually go for a little bit of a dash away, but Linkser found him on top of the house and was able to get that free hook and able to get a little bit more charge off of that as well. And Valataja here with that pulse bomb, certainly trying to get an opening pick. Oh, was in a good position actually to get a stick there, but didn't take it. And now we do see the pulse bomb coming out from Bromas, and not going to find anything. We do see a 5v5 happening. Sound Barrier coming out for the side of Dignitas as well, as Bromas getting in a little bit of a gunfight with Valataja. He gets the recall out, and he's at an advantage now. But a hook once again coming out from Linkser, making those plays. And that's again Dignitas establishing themselves as very dominant on this point with this triple tank composition, shutting eUnited out so far.
They've got the Transcendence to work with here from Rubicon. They've almost got a Graviton Surge as well, and they've got their Dragon Blade, but it's a 90%. They have to use these ultimates to be able to take the point. And then, are they even going to have any to be able to hold on? Really tough trough that they've got themselves into. Transcendence used. Now they're looking for other potential ultimates. Cruz uses his Dragon Blade, able to find the pick on the Vainless. Lots of heals being taken out. These tanks are going to fall, and it is going to be eUnited finally picking it up on Village. But this is a monumental task to be able to bring it all the way back from 99%.
And if you're Dignitas right now, you want to try to steal away that Graviton Surge that you certainly have to expect is up. And once you actually do pull that out, if you can, then that'll be basically pretty easy for you to take that. The other option is just utilizing that Earth Shatter that they could possibly take out as a means to shut this thing down, because, I mean, everybody's going to want to jump in on that Graviton. We'll have to see what happens here as Unfixed gets some easy charge and is trying to take it to Toxicant at the moment, who is Discord, and he's taken out of the mech. That's going to be big here for eUnited, as that utility is just gone. And Linkser already found a pick onto Shark, which is going to slow things down a little bit, and now they're going to jump into the point. Graviton coming out, finds 5, and they're looking for the execution, but the Sleep Dart comes out. Valataja, though, with 3 off of the Pulse Bomb, and Bromas with 1 of his own. Not going to be able to find anything. Unfixed to clean that one up. Overtime ticking, as we did see it go in favor. Oh, somehow they come back in that one. What?
Oh my god, how do Wat7 and Linkser clutch that from the jaws of defeat there? Caught in a Graviton Surge, 3 of their comrades die, and I mean, the Earth Shadow was impactful. I think they got the kill on Valutaja at the end, and Unfixed had taken the long route around. Linkser gets another pick as well, and they still swing that. Even though Toxicum was demeched and set up perfectly for the Graviton, Unfixed just able to plonk it down, got great value out of it as well. But the follow-up just wasn't, well, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't enough.
And now going into Shrine, this could be Dignitas here. Side Shrine, I mean, it really could. I mean, yeah. They have that ability with the triple tank. It looks very solid, and their ability to hold out defensively on a point. I mean, if they're able to cap this first point out, I would say it's pretty much all but done for Dignitas. We'll have to see, though. I mean, certainly eUnited can come back through and make a play and make this dive work for them. But so far, Dignitas has shut them out. They have figured this dive out.
I wonder how much the new Lucio changes are playing into this as well. Obviously, teams still experimenting with it, and people had a lot of theory crafting about how it would affect dive and tank compositions. Dignitas definitely playing more Death Poorly within the Lucio area at the moment, the area of effect. I wonder how much impact that's really having. It's not something you can visually spot as easily.
We do see eUnited diving through, looking for some kills initially. Linkster looking for a hook and does actually get onto Cruz, and that's going to be Bromas coming through once again. And these two guys have been starting off their first initial fights so effectively, finding those picks, and Bromas all over the place should be able to find that kill on the Shark as well, and does indeed, getting himself back up to 80%, and they get control of this point first. And we talked about before how, you know, this can really mean a lot if you're able to get control, because it's just such a defensible point. I mean, given the sight lines, given the fact that you're on high ground, given the fact that, you know, any team that is going to be jumping at you is going to be kind of out in the open as well on that low ground. And man, they're in a great position to 3-0 this one out on Nepal.
Unfix moves over to Farah, choosing to move on to a hero that's not really going to be contested that much apart from Toxican, and he's got jobs elsewhere. Bromas coming in though with the first pick, Pulse Bomb used as well. This is fairly even in terms of the players that they're trading, and now eUnited getting the better end of it. Lynx has got the Discord on him. He's being focused down at the same time as Toxican. They've yet to flip the point. Toxican's still delaying along with Bromas. They're going to get even more value out of this as he's demagged, still ticking this time up. Spawners starting to come in as well here, but eventually it looks like eUnited are going to get the better end of it. But how much time are they going to get on the point here? 50% already. Nano Boost used out as well. They're going to be able to hold forever here.
Dignitas actually getting tossed around a little bit. Charge coming out is going to impact Shark, and he's going to be pretty low. He's still trying to get... Oh, he does manage to get what 7 off the point, just barely. And that's going to be Cruz coming through, and they finally do flip it with 60%. I mean, if Shark hadn't have gotten what 7 off the point, then they would have been in a great position to actually utilize that Earth Shatter and could have been able to just flip that and just hold that one out, and that pretty much would have secured the 100-0. But we'll have to see.
They might just do it now.
Definitely could, but now 20% here for eUnited. Dragon Blade at the ready, Rubicon ready to go with the Transcendence as well, and certainly, I mean, Reinhardt here wants to be able to lock down Rubicon if at all possible so that Transcendence doesn't come out and they're not able to just heal right through it. But if Rubicon can find some spacing and get away from this Earth Shatter, then he's going to be able to heal through it, and they might actually be able to even things up. And we do see the Pulse Bomb coming out. They are going to be able to eliminate him. Toxican rushes forward alongside Bromas, actually, but that's not going to work out. I mean, they are going to be able to find that kill, but it's just too little too late. Toxican going to be dealt with, taken out of the mech, and that's going to be eUnited likely tying things up here as they find these last couple of kills, and we wait for the respawns back from Team Dignitas.
This move from Unfixed over to Farah has been great, because now that they're in control of the point, it's very difficult for Toxican to get in a position where he can deny him. Romas is on the Tracer, so isn't really getting that much damage onto them anyway, and Linksa hasn't hit any hooks on him, despite him playing, broadly speaking, within that kind of hook range inside, but it's still difficult. They've got their attention on so many other different things, so perhaps they've found a little composition that's working slightly better for them against this triple tank Tracer that was causing them so many problems all the way from the beginning of Route 66.
We will see Linkster coming through. It does have that whole hog Transcendence coming out from Rubicon. Unfixed looking for a barrage. Hook comes out from Linkster, and that's not going to secure anything as Cruz actually pulls out the Dragon Blade himself, looking for some kills. Forced all the way back as What 7 gets pulse bombed, but he drops that one off the shield, and Unfixed unleashing the barrage is not going to find anything. And this is back and forth here, Sideshow. These teams just re-entering, and it is going to be Bromas on Valataja on the point. And they should be able to find that kill, should be able to flip in their favor as it does hit 99% for eUnited. And now eUnited have to re-entry with nothing available. They should have Shark with that Primal Rage, but otherwise they have basically, what, two maybe only one opportunity left to try to get back onto that point and get a retake against a Nano Boost and a Whole Hog.
They've got to try and make 2 fights out of it. They have to be really quick here in their engagement, I think, and they have to try and force out this Nano Boost and the Whole Hog really early and then see if they can get in. But 80% already. Lynx has got the Nano Boost onto him, already takes down Sharik here as well. Pulse Bomb, seeing what he can do, Whole Hog onto him as well. Nobody's really going to be in position to be able to put damage onto him either. He's really weak in the back lines, actually. Unfix doing a decent job, and this fight fairly even. eUnited a decent end of it. Oh, did he get hooked there and still stays alive?
How did he live through that? I mean, Lynx are just unable to get that melee hit through. And now if they're able to deal with Shark, that'll be it. But overtime ticking out as Shark finds 2. And the rest of Team eUnited is pulling through, but Elixir finally does find that kill. He's been reduced to nothing as Unfixed finds that kill. Barrage at the ready again, and we're off to see if the Barrage is going to be able to do anything. He actually winds up killing himself. A nice barrier that came out from What7 to prevent that DPS from actually working out. And again, back and forth, sound barrier coming out there from Morte actually might switch things back into their favor as Cruz pulls out the Dragon Blade as well, finds the kill onto Evoke, and he's cleaning things up. Evoke actually back up, actually going to be taken out still, and then Linkster now looking for some kills. It's back and forth, bloodbath here on the point, and Unfixed, Morte coming alive. It's going to be eUnited pulling this one back as they flip the point, and still What7 jumping on. It's just going to be a stagger fest here as the flip occurs, overtime ticks, and that's going to be eUnited making it 1-2 here in this last map on the Paul.
Whoa, that's insane. They're so closely matched, but this is the stage that you would expect to be favored more towards eUnited. And although they were playing much better once they had the Pharah in their composition, is that really something they can take over onto the other stages? You do occasionally see Pharah being pulled out. I'm not that much at the moment in this current meta, in terms of alongside the triple DPS composition on Sanctum or Village, but they are decent for Pharah. But for the moment, it looks like Unfixed is going to stay on this Soldier 76, and they're going to try and make it work. But if Dignitas take Sanctum, as they did before, and looked incredible on it, then that is it. That's them through to the Grand Finals.
And eUnited kind of disappointed, and that will be both teams that we pretty much expected. I mean, I personally expected this to be like a Misfits eUnited showdown, essentially, to see, or maybe even NIP coming through, but that has not been the case at all, as it could very well be Dignitas versus Movistar Riders in the grand finals here for the PIT Championship for the EU side. And now we are seeing What7 go through. It does find the kill onto Morte, and he's going to be discorded, but they don't have the damage follow-up to actually secure that one. And it does look as though we are going to be seeing Dignitas get that cap first. Certainly looking just as dominant as the first time, and Cruz jumping in, trying to lock that one down. Not going to actually work out in their favor, and Dignitas pulling back, not able to pull out of this little cubby here where they really kind of don't want to be, because certainly we've seen eUnited do some dirty things to teams in this particular setting.
They're being forced in there at the moment by the damage, and last time they had their most success when they were able to focus down Toxicant, but he's getting into back lines. They're pressuring Unfixed really heavily. Baneless is falling. Valuetage are getting a couple of picks, and they're fighting them over here in this back room. What7 already weak, and eUnited are going to flip the point and look in a decent position. Ultimates up for both teams now. It becomes a battle of who can stay in control of the point the longest and get more value out of their ultimates. They got the Tactical Visor and that Transcendence and Dragon Blade live for eUnited as they try and hold on.
And again, we have seen eUnited take teams in that little cubby there, but definitely looked very, very strong on that one as well. Now again, Dignitas doing that same play that they made the first time around, with Linkster going up on that high ground alongside What7 there. And Cruz swinging back around with the Dragon Blade, looking for an opportunity to pull that out, as Bromas already finds a kill on the Sharak, and that's going to be up to Cruz now into the sound barrier to try to find these kills and switch things back in their favor. He does find the kill off on Bromas, but the Nano Boost still up on Linkster. He's looking for a hook, does indeed find one, but not able to find the kill actually, as somehow Morte actually able to secure his own life, and now we will see Unfixed saved by Sharak and the barrier, and Linkster missing another hook there, going back into that kind of cubby area. And again, eUnited with a great opportunity to just jump in there. We do see Sharak pulling out that Primal Rage as well, just sending everybody off at the point, trying to get What7 off of there on the Reinhardt. And now they will be able to just hold on to this still. Oh! Sharak almost fell off there, but was able to jump back up, and Toxicant coming around as well. This is just a scattered 1v1s, it seems, almost across the board, and it seems like eUnited just taking the most of it, with Cruz coming through and finally finding some supported kills. And now eUnited switching things back in their favor, looking to try to take the advantage.
Yeah, Dignitas there, that last team fight was really just them trying to get as much time on the board as they could, because as soon as a couple of their tanks fall and they're positioned on the point, surrounded by eUnited players, they can't really win the team fight from that position. Their style and their composition is more about just telling eUnited, come at us. You know, we're going to set up our position, you come at us, and we'll react to you and be able to take it as a big death ball. That's what they're going to do, moving their way across the left-hand side at the moment. Going to loop back onto the point, probably, playing with Toxicant in the front. He's already taken half health at the moment, but really they haven't been able to deal with him and demech him as often as I would have liked. And a lot of ultimates here for eUnited as well. They need to start having impact onto these Dignitas players. Oh, but that Earth Shatter!
And we do see the Transcendence pulled out as well from Rubicon, trying to save things for them. Sound Barrier coming out now as Linkster looking for a hook here. Already did miss that last one, but still Dignitas able to battle through it. Rubicon taken out after that Transcendence falls. Valutaja right now on the Tracer, trying to make some plays here, and he already did find the kill on the mech, but Bromas is contesting as well, and they do indeed flip things. 62% now to the 99 that we see eUnited able to secure, and they have to win this next fight to be able to secure this one, or else eUnited will be able to flip this back and take it to 2-2. But it's been incredibly close. They don't have any options other than Linkster here with the whole hog.
Valutaja put to sleep right at the beginning. Bromas is going to go into them, put a lot of damage onto Valutaja, but he recalls, keeps himself alive. Sharik the first to fall to a bit of a bump from Evoke, and now a huge brawl going to happen in this back room as well. Tactical Visor. No, Unfix just picking up people without it, just slamming damage into them all. There's Rubicon also piling orbs into people from their position on the high ground. What 7? He's got the orb of Discord on him. Valutaja can't quite find an opportunity to flick in behind him. Takes a ton of damage and a Helix Rocket to the face. This looks like eUnited are in a great position to come back into this one. 99% for both teams. They're about to flip it if they get the better end of it. And Cruz with the Dragon Blade in the back lines takes down Linkster as well. Tactical Visor coming out here as well from Unfixed. They're picking up kills all over the board. They're going to be able to flip it, come back into it, and tie this up at 2-2. Could it be any closer, Hurix? What could we expect from these two teams?
And this is what we talked about before. I mean, just the fact that we actually thought it was going to be a 2-2 scenario where we were going to see Dignitas at least able to take a map, but certainly seemed good to be able to get a second one. And we have a pause going out right now from the side.
God bless my heart. What are they doing to my heart? You know, this is the final round. Cruz, you can't pull things on me like this.
Yeah, in American football, we call this icing right here. That's what they call it. You just take a timeout, tactical pause in the final moments here right before that last field goal, you know, and just kind of shut them out, get their nerves up a little bit as you go into that last map. Certainly momentum in favor of eUnited as they've been able to battle this back somehow 2 maps in a row as they contend to maybe make a reverse sweep and send themselves into the grand finals up against Movistar Riders. There we go.
You can do it, Hurix.
I know. I believed in myself. But you know, that's going to be an interesting match if it winds up being that, because I mean, anybody who wins this is certainly going to be an insane grand final, because Dignitas have somehow, I mean, basically a Cinderella story throughout the bottom side of the bracket, the lower bracket here, where they've been able to just go on a tear, starting from round 1, and now in a 4th round here.
Oh, it's going to be on Shrine as well, Hurix. We're not going back to Village, it's Shrine, and eUnited managed to clutch this one last time, but only after they brought the Pharaoh out, and it looks like they're going to begin on that. Oh, this one could be so close as well. They've got to expect it. Looks like Linkster might be starting with this double hit scan as well. Just anticipating Unfix coming out on the fire. This is mind games at its finest here in our final stage of the final map as well.
This is the kind of stuff that we absolutely love to see between these kinds of teams where, I mean, it's 2-2. It's tied 2-2. Not only on the map, but also in the series, in a best of 5. Winner of this next map is going home, going through tomorrow to the grand final, and then the loser obviously going home. And it's going to be, again, those mind games. It's just, everything is on the line here, so the teams do not want to let anything go. Expect them to be very, very kind of cautious, looking for eUnited to actually here to try to find an opportunity to get aggressive. But I don't think that they're going to want to. I mean, just the fact that it's all on the line here. They can't make a single mistake, and the dive actually is pretty hard to pull off, and they're trying to execute here. What 7 taking down pretty low, and they're all over him as Unfixed basically free firing from the sky, able to take out Linkster here, and that's going to be a trade with Rubicon falling out themselves. So Unfixed really kind of with no option for heals. They could definitely take him out, but Linkster was the main person to try to do that, and it's basically going to come down now to Toxican as Toxican is out of mech. It will be more than likely eUnited coming back into this one, as it already is. Oh, actually Dignitas still on the point here. We do see Valutaja coming through with a stick, and he's throwing it out. Does actually get it onto what 7, and they should be able to flip it off of that.
Yeah, they definitely should. But Dignitas managed to essentially steal away 20% in a fight that almost the whole time was going the way of eUnited. But because they're playing, like, they're trying to pick apart Dignitas, and what 7 just stayed on the point the whole time, they actually got the first cap. And now they're 19% up. Might not have a big effect in the long run here, as it's going to be difficult to recap, but Ultimate's starting to come online. The question is, Lynx moving over to Soldier 76 might be a good idea in terms of the composition, but you're removing him from his potential clutch hero pool. Are you going to miss him in the end?
Definitely something to think about, especially, I mean, they wind up losing that. That's going to be something that they talk about for sure back at their camp, but nonetheless, we will see Lynxer trying to contest that and not really in a great position to do that. And we do see Rubicon coming through with that Transcendence. He was taken out early in that first fight, but definitely coming through with a lot of value now. But Lynxer finding that kill, as he actually has found some value here on the Soldier, and definitely they won't be thinking about that quite yet, as he does find 3 kills, but Shark sending himself back up to the sky, and that's going to be Dignitas stealing away that first point, and they already have 20% here on the board. And it might not be much, but they do have at least some ability. If they're able to win this next fight, they will take that lead. Now on this point, I mean, certainly looking to What7 to try to make a big Earthshatter play. They don't want to use too much in this next one. I definitely anticipate Bromas to be pulling out at that Pulse Bomb. We'll just have to see what kind of value he gets out of it.
Oh, they're both going to have it as well. Oh, the Pulse Bombs stick onto Sharik, but Bromas trades his life for it. So as they go in, here's Sound Barrier. Valutasha picks up the kill onto Veinless, and What7 dies as well. This is really nice execution with this dive strategy coming out from eUnited, picking up everybody, clearing the point. They just have to deal with Toxicant, and then demech him, take him out. They'll be able to flip the point. Very backwards and forwards so far. Oh, Bromas is still delaying a little bit, getting some extra percentage points for his team, but at about 61%, it's going to flip over. Back and forth already in this final stage.
My heart. It's so close between these two teams, and we are going to be seeing What7 still holding onto that Earthshatter, and this next fight is going to be incredibly deadly, but it's really the one after that. Love to see if the side of Dignitas is able to engage quickly so that they can have another opportunity if they wind up losing that one. Certainly looking for Lynxer to try to make a play here on the Soldier 76. He's been historically very strong in the clutch for his team, but that has almost always been on the Roadhog, and now on the Soldier, not going to have that same clutch character that has always performed for him. Rubicon pulling out the Transcendence as What7 already found the charge kill onto Cruz, and that's certainly going to put them in a great position to go ahead and try to find some extra spacing. Unfixed finding a kill as eUnited battling back into this one. It's going to be Lynxer coming through with that tack visor that'll make the difference if he's even able to pull it out as well. Oh, Valentasha! What a play! As Unfixed pulls out the tack visor as well. That's going to be overtime ticking down, and eUnited somehow take the reverse sweep. 3-2 here on Nepal, and that's going to be 3-2 in the series as well. eUnited going tomorrow into the grand finals to have that rematch against Movistar Riders. What a game!
What? That's unbelievable. Everybody from eUnited was on fire that game. Valutasha's Pulse Bombs were insanely pivotal. Unfixed, for the first time it seemed, almost in the entire series, was able to get the better of Bromas on Tracer and kept shutting him down with really pivotal Helix rockets. And just the team coordination as well. Brilliant. Wow, what a series. And that sets up an unbelievable grand finals rematch as well between eUnited and Movistar Riders.
So now as we head into tomorrow, obviously we do still have NA later. Definitely looking forward to that, as I'm expecting very much the same kind of performances and stuff. And I see that smile on your face, and I can't even wipe it off of mine. It's insane what we've seen today. Not only have we seen Movistar Riders able to upset eUnited, but what a match between Dignitas. What a thrilling show of events that they were able to put out as they move their way through that bottom side of the bracket. And if we do look at the standings right now, as things have updated here, again, grand final is going to be that rematch that we saw in the upper bracket finals, Movistar Riders versus eUnited, as Dignitas, look at that run through on the bottom side there, 2-1 over Laser Kittens, 2-1 over NIP, shutting out Misfits, and then able to make a show of it against eUnited after being eliminated at first by eUnited 2-0 when they were in the upper bracket. What a fantastic showing. I mean, hats off to Dignitas for being able to put on a game like that, and on Nepal, making it look outstanding, going to game 5 there. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. My heart was pounding.
Hair's breadth.
But that is going to be it, guys. I mean, I'm CT Hurix. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter for more, as well as Sideshow Gaming over here. Love casting with you, man. It's always a great time for sure. And definitely follow Overwatch PIT as well. I mean, grand finals are tomorrow. Is there anything you want to say about what we saw today or what we could see tomorrow before we head out?
I think it is insanely unlikely that we will see eUnited be beaten 0-3 again tomorrow in the grand final. And despite how close the games were in the upper bracket final between Movistar Riders and eUnited, this is an eUnited that is now going to be out for revenge. There is no way that they're going to allow themselves to be beaten without taking a map against Movistar. We're in for a fantastic grand final, I think.
All right, and that is going to be it for us, guys, for the EU playoff side of things. This was the upper and lower bracket finals. Tomorrow we have the grand finals starting at the same time, but we still have NA as well. That's going to be in roughly 3 hours, 3 hours and about 12 minutes for my time, and of course, about 3 hours for the rest of you guys as we are on a delay. But that's going to be it from us. Again, I am at CT Hurix with me at Sideshow Gaming. Make sure you guys follow us over on Twitter, and we will see you guys next time. Definitely stay tuned for NA in a couple hours.